It is 6:30 p.m., and this is a regular meeting of the Governing Board of the Catalina Foothills School District. Welcome, everyone. I am Eileen Jackson, and I'm the Vice President of the Governing Board, and I'm pinch hitting this evening for Amy Kraus, who's up on our screen. Amy is traveling the world right now, and it's about 2 o'clock in the morning where she is. So this is dedication of our president, but she felt it would be easier if I ran the meeting while she attended remotely. So that's why I'm in the chair. I'm a bit rusty, so bear with me. It's been a while since I've run a meeting. On behalf of the Governing Board, I welcome everyone here to tonight's meeting. We have members of the public here in person and also attending via our YouTube Live. And in a few minutes, I'm going to read the rules of order for public comment at Governing Board meetings. So if you wish to make a comment remotely, you should have signed up using our Google form that's available under the YouTube Live description. If you don't see the link to the form, refresh your YouTube live stream and it should pop up. If you're attending in person, the purple form, Request to Address the Governing Board, is available on the table in the back of the room. It looks like this. There is no public hearing tonight, so we will have public comment at the top of the meeting, and we can also have public comment in front of the item that you wish to speak about. So if there are several folks here who would like to speak about the Chinese immersion program, so you can either speak at the top of the meeting or right before we discuss this agenda item. To get to that agenda item, we have our consent agenda, which generally doesn't take a lot of time, and we have one item of old business to deal with before we get to new business. And then the Chinese immersion topic is that first new business item. So you can make your decision about when you would like to make your public comment on your own. Either is appropriate.
We also have our deep learning showcase.
Oh, that's right. We do also have a deep learning showcase this evening, which will be wonderful for everyone. So I'm glad there's so many people here to see that as well. Okay, I'm going to ask everyone to stand right now for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so the rules of order for public comment at Governing Board meetings. The Governing Board welcomes public comments at its meetings by providing 2 different opportunities for the public to address the board, as I described earlier. If your topic of interest is not on the agenda, you may address the board during the public comments time at the beginning of the meeting. Or if the topic is on the agenda, you may speak just prior to the discussion of that agenda topic. If you're joining remotely and wish to make a public comment, you should have already submitted the Google form provided with the YouTube link. For those attending in person, please hand in a completed purple form, Request to Address the Governing Board, to our board secretary, Amy Sams, over there. And the information that is on this form is required for us to complete our meeting minutes. Speakers will be called on when it's their turn to address the board. For those attending remotely, you may choose to enable your camera. As a reminder to remote attendees who wish to speak, please unmute your microphone when called upon. As of right now, I have no one online who is interested in making public comment, and I would just encourage anyone watching online, if they would like to make public comment, to sign up using that Google form. Each speaker has 3 minutes to address the board. The sound of a buzzer indicates the end of your 3 minutes. So I'm going to apologize in advance if the buzzer buzzes. I need you to wrap it up in about 5 to 10 seconds so that we can get to all the speakers that we have tonight. I have at least 13 people who've signed up to speak this evening, so we will have to move it along at that 3-minute mark. In the event of a large number of speakers, the board may need to limit the time so they can conduct the business on the agenda. I don't see the need for that this evening. By law, the board cannot discuss, consider, or vote on topics that are not on the agenda. This assures the community that they're aware of the topics that will be discussed. If you wish to discuss a topic through written communication, board members' contact information can be found on the district's website. We appreciate the community's attendance. We appreciate your input and your comments at this meeting, and thank you all for coming. Okay, from there, We're going to go straight to Dr. Bartlett with our outstanding achievements.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to highlight our national merit recognition. So we're celebrating 5 of our high school seniors who have been named National Merit semifinalists in the 2026 National Merit Scholarship Program. In an average year, fewer than 1% of the U.S. seniors earn this distinction, and more than 1% of the CFHS class of 2026 qualify. So of our 5 students, that's an accomplishment. We are congratulating Ethan Lynn, William Luxbacher, Catherine McNulty, and Madeline Reed, and Rex Sheltler, excuse me. We're also recognizing 10 students who earned commended student recognition based on their PSAT scores, placing them among the top 50,000 entrants nationwide. So again, about 1% of seniors nationwide are recognized as commended students, and we have 2% of our senior class being recognized that qualify for this award. The 2026 CFHS commended students are William Ombry, Christina Angel, Owen Cantor Goldner, Alex Crampton, Arthur Pinto, Zachary Henson, William Jacobson, Henry Moore, Thomas Bamos, and Leonard Williams. So thank you and for helping us celebrate these seniors. It's quite an accomplishment.
It is an accomplishment, and what a great list.
Yeah.
Thank you for that report. Okay, one of the highlights of this evening will be our item 1.5, our CFSD Deep Learning Showcase. This is a celebration of quality teaching. Innovation takes flight. High school mentors integrate 3D printing into third grade science. Everybody, we're going to watch a video here. Per usual, we have Julie Fabarik and Foothills Films to thank for all of these wonderful documents of our learning in action in our schools. I do know that we have our two high school mentors here. I believe both of you are here, yeah? I was hoping that you guys would come up and talk to us a little bit about your project and how you got started on this, maybe how you learned how to create a curriculum. There's 3 of you. If
Hello.
you'd start by introducing yourself, because I see there's 3 of you. There are only 2 of you in the movie.
I'm Owen Cantor-Goldner. I was one of the people in the video, but I'm the president of Pioneer Robotics.
My name is Christian Pearson. I was also in the video, and I'm team captain of Pioneer Robotics.
I'm Ethan Lin. I'm vice president of Pioneer Robotics, and I helped out on one of the days that they weren't filming.
Wonderful. So how did you get started in this? How did you decide you wanted to create curriculum for 3rd graders to learn how to use 3D printing and incorporate that into their science lessons?
So a big part of Pioneer and FTC in general is we have to have like a service project, and we were kind of thinking in the beginning of the year, like, hey, what can we do? Because there's always like going out and volunteering, and we've done that before, but we really want to be impactful and really show our community and FTC in general what we're doing. And we were big on 3D printing and robotics, and we use that for all of our prototypes and to develop our robot. So we thought about how can we take what we know and our process of it and kind of simplify it and teach it to the elementary schoolers. And Miss Ackerman's, she's a teacher at Sunrise, so she was kind of thinking about, hey, how can we make this educational as well? So they took their 3rd grade curriculum, which are all about animal adaptations and bird adaptations, and they created their own birds.
Gotcha. Do you guys want to add anything?
Hey, I'd love to, first of all, say thank you very much for your time, not only in the film, but actually working in the classrooms and developing the curriculum. I'm sure it took a lot of time both in and out of the classrooms. I'm thinking you have probably been involved with the robotics program for quite a while yourselves. So I'm curious to hear what a difference the program has made in your educational career, both here at CFSD and beyond. I'm thinking you're probably seniors this year. If given that you're president, vice president, team captain. So I'd love to hear a little bit about what the program has meant to you.
So I started doing robotics in 2nd grade during school, and then in 4th grade I started doing it after school, FLL with Ms. Ackerman. I've done that 4th grade to 8th grade, and then in high school I did FTC. It's really helped me solidify the direction I want to go in for life. Like I'm doing my college applications right now. I'm looking into going into like mechanical engineering, and robotics has really been a great experience to develop the skills and that passion.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just also like, I mean, we actually all met in that 4th grade when we all did that. So apart from just like learning skills that we've been able to apply in lots of ways, like we've also just been able to meet other people who are just like-minded and able to just learn so much from each other.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I just want to say that I think that the biggest part that I take away from all this is, yes, we learned so much about it, but we also became like great friends. Like we were saying, in 4th grade, we were on the FLL team together as little 4th graders, didn't really know what they were doing. They went to state our first year, and then that kind of legacy of, or tradition of excellence kind of continued from there. And now we've gone from state to state championship, won state freshman year. We're looking to win it again this year. So it's cool.
Thank you for sharing that.
I just want to say I love it when our students across grade levels and across schools interact and the mentorship opportunities available. But I also want to note, I toured Sunrise in March with Dr. Bartlett, and one of the highlights of going there was seeing the printing lab and seeing the cutest little birds. I mean, they were so cute. I asked at that time, how did we get this 3D printer? And Principal Davidson let me know that it was a result of a Flynn scholar providing the funds that they get as part for a notable educator who gave the funds to Ms. Ackerman, and she decided to do the 3D printing. So just layer upon layer of how our students continue to give back to each other. I think is really, really neat.
So
I've got a question for you all, one or all of you. But first of all, kudos. I think it shows how well you know a subject when you can teach it to others. So in that alone, nice job. With that said, I'm curious what your biggest challenge was in educating a group of younger children on something that, I mean, I know you have Tinkercad, it simplifies part of this, but it's still pretty complex. What was that experience like?
I mean, it just involved a lot of trial and error. This program actually took about 2 years to develop, and once we sort of had the idea solidified, one of the first things we did was we reached out to a teacher at, I think, Canyon View, and we had her come in and just test her curriculum. We asked her questions. We were like, knowing your students, what do you think of this? And we took that feedback and then applied it on. And then actually the class that did it last year was just the one class, was still sort of a pilot test program. So there were certain aspects of it that they struggled more or excelled at more than we had expected. So we're hoping to then this year apply that data to actually do the first full grade to implement it. So even last year was just getting ready.
I love that this was a long-term vision of yours and that you stuck with it and that you tried things, iterated, made it better. I'm hopeful that you have some proteges who are going to pick up the program once you graduate. It seems like this is just a wonderful addition to our curriculum, and you've worked so hard to develop it. So please do find some rising seniors or juniors who are looking to take over the reins from this very great foundation that you've developed.
Amy Kraus, did you want to say anything? You're good? Okay.
Want to invite Mrs. Ackerman up?
Yes. I know that Mrs. Ackerman is going to have something to say about this program and especially about the continuation of this program.
And I'd like to also ask Ms. Fisher to come up. She was the teacher who was willing to take this on. But I do want to give credit. It's a team effort. So I needed a collaborating teacher who said, yes, let's go for it. And of course, the pioneers told you that they've worked on this for 2 years. This isn't, you don't develop curriculum, brand new curriculum. And one of the things that's so key, we studied a lot of people want you to do 3D printing in elementary school, and they all say it should be integrated into the curriculum, but nobody has how you actually do it. So being able to really come up with something that has a real use in the curriculum was the key thing for us. We also have some students who are in the video in here tonight.
Come on up.
The other thing that I do want to say is that because you saw the joy in children's faces as they were working, that was the thing that just kind of amazed us. Recognize these?
Yes. Oh, yes. Welcome.
From the video. They were always happy. I mean, everybody was smiling. Even working at their computers, they're always happy. And we're looking for things that totally engage students. And so this was really exciting. Because of this, though, a parent at Sunrise who works for Caterpillar then suggested that we apply for a Caterpillar grant, which is their corporate social responsibility grant. So we are just receiving this week $500 to pay for the materials for taking it to the whole grade level, 3rd grade. And we're already talking about what we can do as 4th graders. And then the printers you saw belong to the pioneers personally, as well as the one that I bought for the pioneers with the Flynn honorarium. But the Sunrise FFO has just given us a grant, and our new 3D printer is here now for Sunrise Drive School. So we're really talking about continuing it. And again, it's a team, our FFO, our teachers, and our students. You want to add anything?
Yeah, there was kids that were brand new to our district, to our school, so they had never taken robotics in the past couple years. And after day one of, learning, it wasn't just let's make some birds that go with our animal adaptation. It was, we need to learn about which birds have certain beaks and their feet and their wings based on where they live. And they had to create those certain body parts and characteristics to the bird to match their adaptation to where they live. So there was some deep learning. It wasn't just a fluffy piece of art that just got stuck to the end of the lesson. And after day one, they were no longer asking for my help. They were going straight to each other and helping each other out because they picked up on it so fast, even students who weren't previously at our school or district, which was amazing. So the engagement is so high because it's, they're around technology all the time, and they were just little sponges with all the steps and processes.
Wow. Thank you so much for everybody being here. Hey, kids, did you want to say something? You don't have to, but you can if you'd like. I particularly like, Paula, that you were willing to be the guinea pig and lay down and be measured. I think that's great.
I just wanted to say a big thanks to the pioneers who came here, sacrificed their classes just for us, just so that we could learn better and have better learning.
Well said.
Yeah.
Very well done. Do you want to say something too? No, everybody's good. Well, I think this whole room should give you guys all a huge round of applause. I want to thank you all for coming. Kids, I know you had a long school day. I know our teachers had a long teaching day. And I want to give special thanks to the seniors who are around the corner. I can't see them anymore. But what a great idea. What a great idea for your community outreach to reach out to your fellow Foothills students, especially ones so young. And I want to echo what Jacqueline said about our older students mentoring our younger students. I don't think it gets much better than that. I love to see it. And I thank you so much for your 2-year effort in this program. And I know you're on to do great things when you leave us at the end of the year. And I wish you all great luck. Thanks again, everybody, for being here. And thank you, Julie.
Julie wants a photograph of that.
Yeah, let's get a photograph. There's a lot of...
And parents, if we have parents in the room, feel free to take a photograph as well. I think Ms. Farbarek is getting them in the back of the room. Thank you. Mrs. Ackerman, no sitting down. You're wanted for a photo op in the back of the room. It was great.
I don't know if you realize one of our seniors is one of the commended students.
Mm-hmm. I did catch the name, yeah.
Yes. Owen.
Wonderful. Well, we're going to go on and deal with the rest of the agenda for our meeting. I do understand that you guys have all had a full day already. If you are certainly welcome, and we'd love to have you for the rest of the meeting, but definitely understand if you have other things you need to do this evening. So, okay, let's see. Okay. We are going to move on to our public comments section, and I'm just kind of peeking through here to see. Most of the topic is Chinese immersion. Mandarin. Okay, so all of our comments are for the Chinese immersion program. So is there anyone in particular who wants to speak at the top of the meeting or wait until we get to the actual agenda item? Agenda item then? All of you? Okay, we'll do that. So from there, we're going to go to our consent agenda. And, pardon? Did someone say something to me?
It sounds like there's somebody who might need to speak now.
Is there someone here who wants to speak now rather than a little bit further down on the agenda? Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and get to it. Pardon me? You know what? If you want to speak now, you can go ahead and speak, but I need you to fill out a form before you leave. That would be good. Are you going to speak on Mandarin?
Yeah, real quick.
Okay.
I think beforehand this is.
That's fine, that's fine, but just make sure you fill out the form before you leave.
Okay, I'm Frank Idarilla. I'm a parent of a 5th grader in Chinese immersion at Sunrise. And thank you guys so much for the exhibit. Very well done. Just as you guys discuss the matter, I think it's important for all of us to really understand the financial aspect. So how much it costs, where the funding is, etc. Because obviously this is the main reason it's happening. And that's all I want to say.
Thank you. Okay, so now we will go on to our consent agenda before we get to the rest of the public comment. Does anyone have anything that they wish to pull from the consent agenda this evening?
Yes. 3.7.
3.7 for Tom
I'm also 3.7 and 3.3.
and 3.3. Okay. Anything else pulling for additional discussion?
No.
Okay, you know what, you want to do a consent agenda?
Yeah.
Motion? Thank you.
Okay. I move that the governing board approve the governing board September 25th, 2025 regular meeting minutes as presented. Item 3.2, I move that the governing board approve the expense voucher memorandum as presented. Item 3.4, I move that the governing board approve the fundraising request memorandum as presented. Item 3.5, I move the governing board approve the personnel memorandum as presented. Item 3.6, I move the governing board approve the acceptance with gratitude of the gifts and donations memorandum as presented.
Okay, we have a motion for items 3.1, 3.2, 3.4, 3.5, and 3.6. Is there a second on those items?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving those selected items on our consent agenda?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. So now we'll start with item 3.3, which is the approval of our field trip request memorandum. And I think, Jacqueline, you wanted to pull that?
I did. I just wanted to highlight the gamut of field trips that our students are going on. We have everything for everyone, starting in kindergarten, going to the pumpkin patch, and I can't think of anything more adorable, through Manzanita, doing some science trips to Bisbee and Karchner Caverns, Sierra Vista area. ECMS going on orchestra trips, honoring those students who are nominated for All-State. The high school choir going to NAU Jazz Festival and an All-State Jazz Choir as well. Our Palm Line going to Nationals in Orlando, and English 12 to the Renaissance Fair. So really, it's lovely to see all the opportunities that our students are getting from a very early age, and I just wanted to make sure that we recognize that, the opportunities that we're providing.
All right, it's quite the gamut. And I think it's also a good opportunity to highlight our FFOs and our booster clubs who do the fundraising that make a lot of these field trips available to our students. Without those FFOs and booster clubs, our field trip menu would look very, very different. And some of these do have fees, but if there are fees that families can't handle, there are mechanisms through that fundraising to take care of that so that anyone who wants to go on these field trips is able to go on these field trips regardless of any kind of a cost. So thank you for pulling that. I
For
do
that
think that
reminder
that's
about the funding too.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Let's see, let's go ahead and do a motion to approve 3.3 and then we'll move on to 3.7.
I move the governing board approve the field trip request memorandum as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the field trip requests. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And then now we will turn to item 3.7, which is the approval of addition and removal of core and supplemental textbooks and resources. Both Tom and Jacqueline wanted to pull this. I'll start with you, Tom.
Sure. A question and a comment. Question first, I was hoping that perhaps Dr. Bartlett could speak to, I know there's a process that invites public comment. These are reviewed and open for 60 days, and I took advantage of that. I know other board members did as well. I also know that that was the end of a journey for each one of these items and pieces of curriculum. So if you could comment just on how those come to be included.
Sure, I'm going to call Ms. Castro as she leads this process to decide which resources with our teachers, with our teacher teams.
Sure, and so the process for selecting the resources, if we are in a curriculum revision cycle, teacher teams come together, we examine the state standards, we create our standards based on that, then we start to search for resources that will best support student achievement of those standards. We look at different clearinghouses as we're looking at the each resource. Sometimes our vendors who supply our core resources have suggestions as to which supplemental resources might be useful. At that point, we put it on a list. With the administrators at that meetings with the teachers review them, and then we put it on the 60-day preview list. If we're outside of a 60-day, or if we're outside of a revision process, then the teacher teams submit a request form for supplemental resources that comes to my office. We examine it. If it's a digital resource, the Director of Educational Technology also examines it to make sure that it will fit with our framework, and it also complies with our privacy policies and safety and security policies for technological resources. Principals have to approve that as well before it even comes to me. Then the Director of Professional Learning and I look at the resource together. We consult teachers as needed and then move on from there. Once a resource is put on the 60-day preview, the public has the opportunity to review the resources that we post online, but we do also have some hard copy resources that we keep at the district office during that 60 days, and the community members are free to come in at that time to review those resources, plus the digital resources that have logins that we're not allowed to share publicly on the website. We have those logins available in our office and a computer set up so people can review the resources that way as well. If a person has an issue with a particular resource, they can submit a feedback form explaining which resource they're wondering about and why. If that happens, I get together with the principal and the teacher teams that are going to be using it to confirm that it is a resource that we want to use for the curriculum and how it supports our mission in that particular area. And then we craft a response together to the community member to explain how the resource will be used if we determine we're going to keep it. In the time that I've been here, the times that the feedback forms have come through, we've been able to explain to the community members how we use it, and we haven't gotten responses back about, once we explain how the resource will be used, people seem to be fine with that. At least we don't get a response back. So, was there another part of it that you were wondering about?
I think that covers it very well. So clearly, nothing ends up on these lists by accident or through casual recommendation.
And we also try to keep the list, even though it may seem like when I come, there are many supplemental resources on that list. We try to keep it to a minimum. We first examine the resources we have to make sure that there's not something that we already have that could serve the same purpose.
Jacqueline?
Stole my
Took
thunder.
care of all of it? So I'm assuming that this is more of, this is not part of a regular cyclical curriculum review process. This is just some new materials that our teachers are requesting be added to the resources list.
Yes, and partially no.
Yes,
We
and
went
partially.
through a world language, not a full-on revision, but we went through last year a world language refresh where we were changing the way that the strategies that we were using. And so the world languages resources that you see on this list are a result of those meetings, of the world language refresh of resources.
Gotcha. Did we have a lot of review of the resources, either online or in person?
Typically, we do give you in our board memo a list of how many hits there were on the
Did I miss it?
page. But we didn't this time because we learned something new about our new website. So we are not yet able to pull the number of hits from a website page with our new website. However, we're in consultation now with the website company, the vendor, so that the next time I bring resources to you, I can tell you how many hits there were on that digital page. There was one parent who filled in 2 feedback forms, one for a 4th grade material and one for a 12th grade material.
And you were
So-
able to deal with those
And we
concerns?
followed the process with that and submitted a response to that parent, and I haven't heard back, so.
Okay. Got it. All right, I'm good.
Thank you.
Good?
Thank you.
I have just a comment as a follow-up. After reviewing all of those, there were 3 that really stood out to me. The civic online reasoning from Inquiry Group, Econoful was fantastic, and CODAP was actually the thing that made me stop playing with the Tinker CAD that I was playing with after learning the Deep Learning Showcase, and switched over to CODAP and actually uploaded some data sets and played with it myself.
Right,
They're
maybe you can
phenomenal
come and
tools.
mentor some of the students on
There you
that.
go.
Bring it on. I need another job.
Or
But
they could
fantastic
mentor.
tools.
Yeah, thank you. We'll pass
Amy,
that
did
along
you have
to the
anything
team.
you wanted to add? Okay. All right, if there's no other further comment or question, can I have a motion on 3.7?
You may. Item 3.7, I move that the governing board approve the addition of the core and supplemental textbooks and resources for the elementary, middle, and high school levels, and the removal of the core and supplemental resources as presented.
Okay, we do have a motion on 3.7. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate all of the information. Okay, moving right along to unfinished business, our item number 4.1, approval of revisions to policy GDFA, support staff qualifications and requirements. This is a second reading, and if I recall, your governing board, Ms. Westover, required some rewriting. We were being annoying.
I'm hoping that we did a better job
I think it's
with
beautiful.
some of the revisions here. So policy GDFA, which is support staff qualifications and requirements, specifically fingerprint requirements. It is revised to ensure that district procedures for fingerprinting background checks and obtaining a fingerprint clearance card align with state law and current district practices. So following the first reading, the policy was reorganized to clearly identify sections that refer to fingerprint background checks or an identity verified prints or a clearance card requirement. So IVP or a clearance card requirement, which is both fingerprinting, just different processes.
Right.
Additionally, some elements that did not align with current practices were removed. The policy distinguishes between the 2 types of fingerprint clearance requirements. There is a general fingerprint background check and a more comprehensive IVP fingerprint clearance card. All non-certified and volunteer employees are required to complete a fingerprint background check. And positions who work directly with students additionally require the IVP fingerprint clearance card. So the difference here is the fingerprint background check. I just gave you some quick bullet points here. The prints are rolled and submitted for a one-time state and federal check with the fingerprint background. This is conducted by our HR office staff and provides a snapshot in time of a person's record. This applies to non-certificated employees not working at school sites and individuals who volunteer during the school day who are not parents or guardians. Then the second type, the identity verified prints or the IVP fingerprint clearance card, is issued through the Arizona Department of Public Safety or DPS. And it links the individual's identity to their fingerprints and continuously monitors for new activity. It is required for non-certificated employees working at school sites and for volunteers who coach or participate in after-school programs with students. So the revisions to the policy GDFA include an addition of a new titled section to indicate the fingerprint background requirements. There is clarifying language to ensure consistent citation of Exhibit GDFAE. There is a new section specific to IVP fingerprint clearance cards stating the district may require certain individuals to obtain an IVP card as a condition of employment. There a detailed list of individuals required to obtain an IVP fingerprint clearance card, including non-certificated employees providing direct services to students with or without certificated supervision. An addition of a required employment process section at the conclusion of the policy was improved for improved clarity and organization. And with all of that, I will stop and take any questions that you have.
Questions? Thank you for taking that feedback under consideration.
I got a couple of little things.
Okay.
I hope you don't kill me, but I don't
I'm
think
not.
it's anything that's going to
Absolutely.
require a third reading. First of all, for the benefit of the audience, this policy deals specifically with support staff qualifications,
Yes.
not certificated teachers. But certificated teachers are all going through that IVP background check as well.
Yes. Every certificated individual has an IVP fingerprint clearance card.
With that continual monitoring
mhm.
of, okay, great. I just wanted to point that out because the title of it is support staff, and I just want to make sure that people don't think that we're not having our,
And, you know,
Teachers
when it
go
comes
through this
to
process.
support staff, there's multiple different positions, there's volunteers, so there are different levels.
yes.
But everyone working on our sites for classified individuals, at a minimum, has a background check, fingerprints rolled, and a background check done upon employment.
Yes.
Many, or shall I say, the majority of them additionally require a IVP
card. Got it. Okay, so I just have two little form issues.
Okay.
I maybe should have noticed them the last time, but if you go down, the first page, the district will assume the cost of fingerprint checks, but will assess the employee for charges incurred. When I read the district will assume the cost, that says to me the district's going to take on that cost. And I'm thinking that maybe just substituting the word advance the cost of these fingerprint cards, because we do, the employees, as we discussed last time, do pay for those fees, correct?
That's correct. And then, well, we pay up front,
We pay up front.
and then we collect it through their pay.
Right.
So-
They
So I'm just saying, when we say we assume the cost, that almost says that we pay for it. And I just want to make sure that we're following, we're describing what's actually
It could
happening.
be, we assume the upfront cost.
Or that, yes.
It could be, we assume the upfront cost.
Okay,
Yes.
we can make that adjustment.
Yes, and like I said, I don't think it's going to require a third reading unless someone here is going to require a third reading based on that. But I just wanted to clarify that piece. And then the only other piece is the next paragraph. We say individuals shall certify on the prescribed notarized forms whether they are awaiting trial or ever been convicted of any of the following criminal offenses in Arizona. And then it says, see Exhibit GDFAE. They're not really following in this policy, and then later it refers up to, if you look above, as if it's referring to a list that exists in here.
You're right. In our policy, it just has a reference to GDFA, the policy as written by ASBA.
Yeah.
Actually has everything
They have
listed,
the
making the
list.
policy much, much longer.
Which,
So I was,
yeah, I agree, it doesn't need to be there.
yeah, I was trying to, clarify that that's the referenced policy and it has the list of criminal offenses.
It's just any of the following says to me there should be a list. It almost looks like we have an error in our policy, and I guess I would just suggest we say committing any of the criminal offenses listed in Exhibit GDFAE, and then the later reference, and I apologize, I didn't, there's another reference that talks about the list above.
Yeah, and that has
Oh,
been
you actually
in
did take
there.
that one out. You did take
Yes,
that one out. So
yes.
this is basically the same thing. Those were the only two things that I probably should have noticed
And the
last
only
week.
change that was made from our current policy was that as listed in policy. That was the only change.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's been in there, you weren't the first to.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I had.
Okay. And
I
I
have,
can certainly make that change.
a couple of niggly things as well.
Sure.
So if you go to page 2, the highlighted yellow, item E, we have a dangling and there, so I'm not sure if we're missing some of the content or if the and is superfluous and the sentence was supposed to end
Catching it.
after 15-512.
It's because the state is taken directly from the state law, which is how ASBA referenced it. So I can certainly fix that.
Yes, please. So there's nothing missing from
No,
that, is that what you're saying?
I mean, it's word for word, it's just itemized from the law. So,
Okay.
yes, I
So
can,
as long as we're confident there's nothing missing from that?
Yeah.
Item number E, then I think we could just put a period or a full stop after
Okay.
ARS 15-512, if my colleagues on the board agree. And then the second item is above that, under the subhead Identity Verified Prints, IVP, the first paragraph, and I can live with this, but I'm just calling out, it's an incredibly long run-on sentence, and the legibility is complex. For legibility, it would be improved by breaking this into 2 sentences, but again, I can live with it as is because
In the interest of no
in
third
the
reading.
interest of no third reading.
it is, I know. The policy itself has been a really tough one because it is lots of run-on.
Okay, I understand it's a tough one. I also, though,
Yeah.
believe that when we do take time to update a policy, and, bearing in mind that the last time this was updated was September 24, 2019, I also want to make sure that we're getting it as accurate and as clear as possible, because ultimately we expect our staff to adhere to these policies. So I would ask that the sentence is rewritten for that purpose, but if my colleagues disagree and feel comfortable leaving it as is, then I'm happy to defer to my colleagues here on the board.
I don't know, how are you guys feeling with rewriting of that?
I can bring it back.
It would have to come back for a third reading.
There, we're getting into some more significant rewriting
Right.
rather than just changing a word here and there. And at the interest of being even more annoying than we were 2 weeks ago, I would then suggest, that we just do a quick third reading. Amy, any thoughts on this? You're good? Go ahead. Okay. Okay, well, let's just play it safe. Let's just make those few changes, bring it back for a quick third reading. You have something else?
I also have some nitpicking
Yeah.
changes.
All right, third reading
Then if
it
we're
is.
doing it, we're doing it. Throw them in, Jacqueline.
On page 2, I just, in that paragraph, I was gonna say the last sentence, but where it says employee to obtain that needs to be an.
Correct.
I'm sorry, where are you?
Where are you?
Right before IVP.
Right before IVP
Okay.
in that paragraph, it needs to be an.
Second to the last line, Mindy.
I wanted to say last sentence, but.
It's all one sentence there.
Um,
Are you seeing it, Mindy? I just want to make sure you're tracking since you're.
No, I'm not sure where you are.
Yeah, in the paragraph.
in the paragraph,
The highlighted paragraph? that
When
James was
considering
talking
or the
about?
district
Okay,
may?
right.
The school district may require.
Okay.
okay. The school district may require, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then we go down to the second to last line, supervision of a certificated employee to obtain an IVP.
Oh,
fingerprint
and,
clearance.
okay, gotcha.
Sorry, it wasn't very clear. And item D, I think, a non-certificated employee who provide, I think that needs to be provides.
Provides, yeah.
And then I was a little confused with item F. Any person who is contracted by the state, comma, a school district to provide tutoring services.
Good catch.
I'm not sure if that's supposed to be by the state or a school district, or state and? Or,
Or,
okay.
probably, or.
Catch.
Yeah.
And the last thing I wanted to ask was, I assume exhibit GDFAE will be hyperlinked in here. Okay.
Okay. Thanks for bearing with us.
See y'all next week on this one.
Y'all next time.
It's my favorite.
Anything else before we move on from item 4.1? Okay. We are now going to move to the reason why all of you folks are here this evening, although I'm sure you really enjoyed the showcase, as we did, yes.
Or the
And the
policy
policy
discussion.
review, the governing board at work. All right, so new business, our item 5.1 is consideration of the gradual phase-out plan for the Mandarin Chinese Immersion Program. This is a first reading. I am going to go ahead and open up public comment now because I think the protocol is immediately before the agenda item. And so I have, I believe, 13 or 14 of these things here. Again, we're going to be pretty strict on the 3 minutes so that we can get to the discussion of the policy. And I'm going to just read them in the order. I'm going to call you guys up in the order that I received these because I think they are in that order. And I'm going to apologize again in advance if I mangle anyone's name. I'll do my best here. So the first person I'd like to call is a Sunrise Drive and Valley View Elementary School parent. And the name is Farishta Kubillo. Did I say it right? You did. Oh, good.
So I'm a parent of a 6-year-old and 3-year-old. My 6-year-old had the pleasure of being in the Mandarin Immersion Program at Valley View with Miss Shepherd. I do not have Chinese background, and my husband and I, we were a little nervous for our daughter. But 2 years into the program, she was speaking, she was reading, and she was able to write in simple Mandarin. And we were completely in awe. Ms. Shepherd did a phenomenal job, but unfortunately at Valley View, the Mandarin Immersion Program was taken away. So my younger daughter is unfortunately not able to benefit from the resources that my 6-year-old had. But we were lucky enough, and we were very thankful that Sunrise had it, and we were very happy to enroll our daughter at Sunrise. But now we parents are here, we're concerned. We have this amazing school with an amazing opportunity for our children to learn one of the top languages in the world, to create cultural diversity, which is something that the whole community, all of Tucson, can benefit from, not just Sunrise and not just the Mandarin Immersion families. So we ask for collaboration to give us an opportunity to delay the phase-out plan and to allow this opportunity for Sunrise to continue the Mandarin Immersion Program. We don't want to, I feel like we were a little blindsided, and that may not be true because I know you guys hold your board meetings and there are conversations and topics about it. However, we again want that opportunity to collaborate with us parents who deeply care about this opportunity for our children, who want to grow up to engage in international business. As you know, this world, we're all connected. And being able to have this Mandarin program and have our children have those opportunities to, again, think bigger than what we currently are. Again, we don't want this opportunity taken away from them. We want to be a part of keeping it. How can we keep it? How can we work with you to really instill this and, again, work with the community? How can we increase enrollment? We want that opportunity, to, again, to work with you and beside you to make this work.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Nancy Chen, another Sunrise Drive parent. Nancy?
Hi, I'm Nancy Chen. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. We have 2 children. We have a kindergartner and a 3rd grader. We open enrolled into the Mandarin Immersion Program at Sunrise Drive. We actually live just west of District 16, and it's in a zip code that has roughly 100 kids who open enroll into the school district. I know this because this past summer we received several surveys from the school district looking into establishing a bus route into our zip code. We heard about the Mandarin Immersion Program from friends. The program was the main reason we open enrolled into Sunrise. Other than our home school district, it was the only public school that we looked at. Now, several years in, we could not be happier with our choice. Our children not only have learned a new language, but also Chinese culture and feel a sense of belonging in the community. The Spirit of Sunrise, which is taught in kindergarten, is one of Sunrise's strengths, and having an immersion program teaches kids throughout the school important lessons on acceptance, tolerance, and curiosity about other cultures and languages that cannot be taught just in a classroom. But without the Mandarin Immersions Program existence, I doubt that we'd be in this school today. So I have the following questions for the board tonight. How many open enrollment families will be lost from Sunrise Drive with the closure of the Mandarin Immersion Program? How many existing families will leave as their younger children will not be able to participate in this program? And what does that mean for Sunrise in terms of enrollment and funding? How will Sunrise, in the heart of the school district, separate themselves from Manzanita or Canyon View? What will motivate families like mine in the future to want to drive into the heart of the school district for Sunrise? And let's be honest, I would love to have a bus that takes my kids to Sunrise, but I suspected that survey was really targeted in my zip code for people who are enrolling to Manzanita, just because of geographic proximity. So without an immersion program to attract children to Sunrise, how will Sunrise maintain current enrollment numbers? How will these losses in enrollment, open enrollment students affect money coming into the district, already losing money through the ESA program and vouchers? What about loss of FFO dollars and other funds not directly related to the district that may also impact the school? But more importantly, the immersion program provides value added that cannot be quantified purely in dollars and numbers. Loss of harder to measure outcomes such as volunteer hours, student performance, and what message does the closure of the immersion program send to current Sunrise students and the spirit of Sunrise? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, next up we have Ryan Wong, Sunrise Drive parent.
Hello, yep, I'm Ryan Wong, parent of two children in the program. One's in third grade and one's in kindergarten. I want to thank everybody for allowing us to be here and share our thoughts, and also for the thankless service you guys do. I think a lot of the details and stuff in terms of serving the district, takes a lot of work and dedication. I don't have anything prepared to say besides the fact that the day I got the notice about the proposed plan to phase out the program was a sad day for me. I personally was blindsided, but the truth is I don't read every email and whatever memo that was sent to me. But I think my sentiment is probably similar to a lot of people, just shocked that it was already planned and that it looked like it was already written on the wall what was going to be the next step, which was the closure or the phase out of the program. So it was a sad day, and I was personally just shocked and blindsided. So I just wanted to echo, I think what she said before was if there's any way to pump the brakes and have a discussion. I would love to, number one, just hear everyone's thoughts about the actual reasons. The memo that was sent out clearly was thoughtful. It had some good data. Sounds like the numbers are going down, and basically we're being told it's unsustainable. I'd like for people, or the board, to comment about that specifically, just to inform us what the challenges you guys are having in terms of keeping the program alive. And then if there's something we can do as a committed community in collaboration with you guys to keep it alive. It's that simple. So number one, speak on the actual challenges that you guys are having and why it's being phased out. And number two, what can we do to keep it alive? Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Connie Chan, Sunrise Drive parent.
Hi, my name is Connie Chan, and I'm the parent of both a kindergartner and a third grade student at the Chinese immersion program at Sunrise. So this phase out plan won't directly affect me, but I still think it's worth fighting for. I want to first acknowledge the incredible work our teachers and staff have put into sustaining this program over the years. The challenges of enrollment are real, but I urge the district to reinvest in, not phase out, one of the most forward-thinking programs our district offers. When I was growing up personally, my school didn't offer Chinese immersion, but I was lucky enough to attend Chinese school on Sundays. Looking back, what I learned there, the language, the culture, a sense of identity, has impacted my life far more than any AP Calc or physics class ever did. Not to minimize those courses, but learning Chinese gave me something different. The ability to connect with others, to build bridges across cultures, and to understand perspectives beyond my own. It opened doors in my professional life and shaped who I am today. That's what this program offers our children. It's not about vocabulary or grammar. It's about community, identity, global awareness, and provides our kids the opportunity to develop cognitive flexibility, confidence, and lifelong advantage in understanding others and themselves, which I've already seen in my own kids. Studies consistently show that bilingual students perform better academically and develop stronger problem-solving and multitasking abilities. Beyond academics, this program enriches our entire community. It fosters inclusion, celebrates diversity, and positions our district as a leader in preparing students for a highly interconnected world. Eliminating it sends the message that global education and cultural competency are not valued, when in fact they are vital to the future and success of our children in our city. And I don't know if you've been following global trends in pop culture, but the appetite, literally and figuratively, for Asian food, language, and culture is only growing. Here in Tucson, the Asian night market has been so consistently packed, they've had to keep finding larger and larger venues to fit everybody. Around the world, Asian cinema are drawing people of all backgrounds. K-pop demon hunters, anybody? There's clearly a demand for more, not less, of engagement with Asian culture. That's why I believe canceling the Chinese immersion program is premature. Give enrollment a chance to tick back up, since these things may ebb and flow. And with creative partnerships, broader outreach, community support, this program can thrive again. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, CFSD resident, Sunrise Drive parent, Jennifer Parad. Did I say that correctly? Thank you.
All right, thank you for having us. And by us, I mean also my third grader. My name is Jennifer. My family is part of the Catalina Foothills School District. I'm in district family. We have a third grader, he just turned 8, and then we have 2 two-year-old twins. So it was our hope that they would be part of this program down the road. Short story, Max enrolled in Valley View during pandemic. We tried a different private school first and didn't really feel like it was a good fit. We loved the idea of an immersion program through Valley View, and we were offered both a Chinese spot and a Spanish spot. And we opted to go with the Mandarin spot. We did a lot of research. My husband and I are both in medicine. We looked at a lot of studies based in neurology, early childhood learning, and consistently across the board, there was good evidence that exposure to another language before age 5 drastically opens up the ability for a child to learn future languages down the road, as well as what Connie mentioned, other performance tests as well. They do statistically better on standardized tests, mathematics, other areas where we all value non-test taking skills as well. So for our family, we thought, well, we have 2 languages to choose from, Spanish or Mandarin. Literally, I feel like Mandarin is the hardest language in the world. If my child can be exposed to Mandarin as a 4-year-old or a 3-year-old, and my non-native speaking family can learn that from going to our public school, what a huge and amazing thing. What a complete bonus, just because of where I live and where I can enroll my child. I do speak a second language, and I didn't learn that language until I was closer to adulthood. It took many, many hours, lots and lots of classes, a trip to a foreign country, a study abroad, and I think I'm probably on the same level of fluency as my kid, who's been in Mandarin immersion for like 3-4 years.
5 years.
As an example of this, we actually went to Taiwan when he was a first grader. My very blonde, very non-native speaking child, on our first day getting breakfast off the plane, my husband and I are struggling to figure out what they are saying to us. We have our Google Translate open, we're pointing at things. My 6-year-old walks up and in perfect Mandarin says, "Daddy, she wants 330 yen and asks if you'd like milk in your coffee." The look on this woman's face was priceless as he responded in perfectly pitched, intonated Mandarin and gave her the answer she was looking for. Priceless. A first grader, 6 years old, totally handling himself well in a foreign country. I tell you this story not because my family is so lucky to live where we live or because we have an opportunity to travel and make sure these things are working. I tell you because I want every family to have this opportunity. Whether it's Mandarin or Spanish, I think that if you live here and you have this opportunity to open enroll or enroll in this program, it is a selling feature. It's a reason to come to our schools.
So for my family, an in-district family, with 2 coming up, we have a lot of thinking to do. There's a big enough gap in between my children that will never be at the same school.
Jennifer, I'm going to need you to wrap.
So for us, I really want us to consider whether or not in the future we are going to enroll our twins in the Catalina Foothills District, or if we're going to do what many of our friends, colleagues, and neighbors do and take our children to private schools or charter schools to get a similar experience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Matt Riley, Sunrise Drive parent and resident.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Matt Riley. I have a lovely kindergartner and a 3rd grader that are both part of the Chinese immersion program. It's an absolutely amazing program. We've seen huge growth in both kids. I think ultimately, from a Chinese immersion standpoint, there's a couple reasons why this is a critical program. The first one, it's the academic performance, right? It's the multi-language and how we see consistent test scores that show that if you have that multi-language aspect, that you do better academically. I also think from a Mandarin perspective, Mandarin's a really difficult language to learn from English. It's not a romantic language. There are huge challenges to it, and these girls are getting exposure to it now where it can kind of be absorbed in their brain versus my wife and I trying to figure it out and, you know, saying the wrong words to our close friend who is the only person that we know that really speaks Mandarin fluently. So huge benefit to them that way. The other piece is the economic and global imperative, right? So China's a huge player today. It's going to get bigger and bigger in the future. At work, I see how resumes are differentiated based on foreign language, and Chinese is very, very difficult to find. So if you need somebody that actually understands the language, and even more so the culture, it takes a very long time to get them in the door. One of the friends that I have that has some of that exposure has actually changed business dealings because of his understanding of the culture. That's exactly what these girls are learning. That's the kind of impact that they can have on the business and around the world. Another piece is just the cost of abandonment, right? We've invested a lot of time and energy in getting the right folks. The curriculum stood up. All of that would kind of be shelved. We would lose the talent from a teacher perspective, and it'd be very difficult to put back into place. So I think that needs to be part of the consideration because I think this is such a valuable program that a lot of other schools do have, that to reinstitute it would be a huge effort. So what do we do about it? I guess I would ask, have we really exhausted all of our opportunities to partner in the community? As other folks have mentioned, you know, if you don't have somebody speaking Chinese at home, how does that impact your desire to actually go into the program? When I talk to colleagues at work, they think that this is one of the coolest things that they've heard of in a school, is actually doing that immersion. But how do they get the support for that? So how is that part of the messaging that's going out about Mandarin immersion, making sure that we have that support for those that don't speak Chinese? And then are there other fundraising opportunities that we can do to actually raise the money for this program? I mean, ultimately, I'm seeing the benefit for my kids. Both of my kids already in the program, and I very much appreciate if this does have to happen, a gradual phase out. But I really think this is critical for the future of our kids, not just mine, but in general, to have this growth.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Wyatt Ho, Sunrise Drive and Valley View Elementary School parent and resident.
Thanks for the opportunity. I have 2 children that are currently involved in the immersion program, one in Sunrise Drive, one in Valley View. And when I heard about this news of the canceling the program, I was really shocked. I just want the board to understand that most parents, a lot of parents in this program chose the school district because of that. And honestly, otherwise I wouldn't be living in where I'm living right now. So that kind of goes back to the financial part, and I hope the board would consider what kind of draw this program brings to the district, what kind of other benefits that this program can feed to because of the draw of the families in this district. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker, Sunrise Drive parent and resident, and I might not do this right, Wen Ho Dao. How'd I do?
That's pretty good, thank you. I am a researcher and I cannot speak without data, so I would like to distribute these. Thank you again. Good evening for the opportunity. My name is Wen Hao Diao. I'm actually I'm a district resident. I'm also a member of parent on the Chinese Immersion Program committee last year. And I would like to point out that despite, the district-wide declines in enrollments, the Chinese Immersion Program saw 10% of growth. And that is something that we really are proud of. And that showed our collective effort last year worked. And I'm also a professor, an associate professor in Chinese and second language acquisition at the University of Arizona. And I also have an affiliation in the College of Education. So I'm trying to say that I do have expertise in Chinese language education. And I am here to say that I am very disheartened and disappointed to see that the school district abruptly decided to phase out the program rather than continuing to work with us, the committee, or the parents and families here. And I'm here to urge the school board to reconsider this decision. I'm not going to repeat what everyone has already said. In fact, those comments move me almost to tears. But I would like to point out a couple things. The message that the school sent, the district sent to us, referred to the program's original design with 12 teachers and 300 students at its capacity. That is a maximum class size of 25 students under one teacher's supervision. So 300 is the maximum capacity, not the goal enrollment. The room has a capacity, it has the goal, it's not at capacity. In fact, currently, Sunrise Drive Elementary only has 4 full-time Chinese language teachers dedicated to the program, with over 100 students enrolled. What that means is, on average, each Chinese immersion teacher works with 25 students, the maximum ratio allowed. In other words, your Chinese immersion program is not under-enrolled, it is at capacity. And the current situation is not ideal at capacity, but it is better than having nothing. In fact, as the data showed, our students are excelling at all subjects that the state tested. In fact, this difference is particularly prominent in the subject of math, which your video about robotics highlighted. It's a skill that's really important for the future of academic learning, right? And this is what the Chinese immersion program really excel at. And even in the Chinese language, our students are winning statewide awards. Last spring alone, 10 students from the Chinese immersion program at Sunrise Drive won a place in the state's competition. So I'm here to urge you to stay on the side of educational sciences and the facts revealed by your own data. And we have so much collective energy and expertise, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Peter Jansen, Sunrise Drive parent and CFSD resident. Okay. You guys are all doing so well with the 3 minutes. That's not easy. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
I hate having to interrupt people.
So let's see. I do have my 3 minutes. So I'm Dr. Peter Jansen. My PhD is in how brains learn language, younger than most of the kids that we deal with. I mention that just to mention that I'm an educator. Oh, and also to remind you that the things that I say have nothing to do with my employer. So I'm not going to cite the statistics. We all know that learning languages is fantastic for young kids. We know that the students in your program, like that sheet that you have, in front of you are performing a grade level above the students outside the Chinese program. There's no question that they're amazing. If you want to learn about all of these things, my wife, who just spoke, is one of the most eminent scholars in Chinese second language acquisition in the country. I'm sure that she would be happy to give you a talk on it. I wanted to try and figure out a way to have the most impact that doesn't involve citing more statistics, and so I'm going to try two things, two different stories. Story number one is I'm a Canadian, and most of the studies that we have on second language acquisition come from my country because my country's bilingual. It's many-lingual, but most of people know that half of our country is French-speaking and half of our country is English-speaking. There was a time when we didn't have bilingual, I guess I should back this up. You're not all Canadian. Everybody learns both languages, minimum, in our country. There was a time that that wasn't the case. And we were all jerks to each other. The English people really didn't like the French-speaking people, and the French-speaking folks really didn't like the English-speaking folks. My dad is like probably all of your dads. He's a really kind guy, really, would give his shirt off of his back to anybody, help. I have all these memories of growing up and him helping people, right? A really decent human being. He did not have very kind opinions about the French. And they had very similar opinions about him because he worked in Quebec all the time, and he just really didn't get along with them because, number one, he didn't speak a word of the language because it wasn't available when he was going to school, in elementary school. And number two, he didn't know anything about the culture. Many of my best friends are Francophones. We have great relationships. We get along fantastically well because we have programs at every school, like this program that you have now. I see I have exactly 20 seconds left, and I just want to say the other thing that we have here is that many of the Chinese people in this room and the faculty that we have at the University of Arizona are drawn here because of this program. In 10 seconds, I'll just say, many of them bring in huge research grants. I think that I could figure out $10 million or more just from the people that I happen to know who are drawn here for this program. As you consider getting rid of it, consider that there's a lot of people that will no longer be drawn to the Tucson economy. When they get that $10 million, it doesn't go in their pockets. It goes to staff, and those staff buy houses, those staff buy food, they go out for dinner, and it will have a significant, I think, impact on the economy just to remove this program. So, thank you.
Thank you. I can't read the handwriting here terrifically well, but I think it says Na Zhu. Did I say that right? Yes. Okay. Sunrise Drive parent.
Yes, thanks for the opportunity. I'm Nazo, and my child is a kindergartner at the Sunrise Drive Chinese Immersion Program. I'm joining all of my parents' friends here to share some concerns I have with the proposal of phasing out the program. So first, if this proposal moves forward, it risks discouraging the dedicated teachers and staff who have built this program with care and passion. It would also send a demoralizing message to our current students, including my son, that what they are learning is not important or not valued. The impact of such a message goes far beyond enrollment numbers. It affects current students' confidence and their sense of belonging. And furthermore, I'm here to advocate on behalf of families who I personally know, that Peter actually mentioned, that they eagerly waiting to enroll their kids in the Chinese immersion next year because they move here because of Chinese immersion. We are an open enrollment family, like Nancy and many others. We choose Sunrise Drive because of the Chinese immersion program. And according to the district report card, this year, non-district residents account for 51% of enrollment, of the total enrollment. And the state funding they bring supports programs and services for all students. So the Chinese immersion program has helped distinguish Catalina Foothills as a distinct that values global learning and attracts many open enrollment families. So the parent letter
that we received cited how low enrollment as a reason for this proposal, and I believe many have shared the statistics, but the encouraging news really takes place in the Chinese immersion program, that the enrollment number for the kindergarten increased from 17 last year to 23 this year. It's a 35% increase. And the total immersion program increased for 10% from 91 to 100. So this positive momentum shows that the program is moving in the right direction. Phasing it out now would reverse that progress, further hurting the total enrollment numbers. I guess I addressed what Nancy was asking earlier. As an educator myself at the U of A, I think I joined the 3 rising educators I see earlier in the meeting, the high schoolers, that I believe that the power of high quality learning opportunities. Chinese immersion program definitely is the high quality, high valued program that we can offer to our students. So I really hope the board will join us to look beyond the numbers and also consider the longer term values of this program to our students and to our communities. So I really, rather than cutting the program, I join everyone trying to put together all the support we could and really trying to keep the program build on its success. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is a CFSD resident, Eric Takasui? Takasui, yeah. Gotcha.
Good evening. My name is Eric. I don't speak Mandarin. I don't actually understand any of it at all. But my family moved to this district 1 year ago specifically because of the Mandarin immersion program. Our oldest child was set to join the kindergarten class in 2027. I've read the memorandum, and the entire justification for phasing out this program appears to rest on one premise, that the original model from 2013 has become unsustainable. And from what you've given me, what I've read, it appears to be true. I agree. But the report details all the heroic and creative ways that you and your teachers have already adapted. You've created flexible teaching models. You've combined classes. Teachers have been teaching multiple subjects. The memo calls these measures taken to address challenges. In my eyes, they look like a foundation for a new sustainable model. You've already proven that this program can adapt and survive through COVID-19 without the original rigid structure. I think the problem is you're treating these successful adaptations as temporary stopgaps on a sinking ship, instead of recognizing them as a blueprint for a new, more resilient one. The question before you is not whether the 2013 model has failed. The question is why tearing it completely down is the only option, when you have already proven that we can renovate and restructure it. I think this is especially true when the data, I calculated 15%, one house said 10%. In either case, there's an increase for the first time since the pandemic, and I see this as a sign of recovery. The decision to cut the preschool feeder program here at Valley View has already had consequences. I was planning to enroll my 2 children here. Right now, the one who is old enough to. Right now, she is thriving at a different place that still offers Mandarin immersion. We're now in an impossible position. When she is of age, should we pull her from that program and enroll her at Sunrise at all, when the program may not even exist when she's there? Or do we keep her there? She seems very happy, and give her the opportunities that Sunrise no longer will give her, and subsequently send her younger sister as well. These are the real-world consequences of the decisions that you have here. You are not just losing students, but strengthening these other schools. Finally, the memo says that the value of global awareness will remain central to the mission. Let's be clear about what this means in the 21st century. As was already noted, this program gives our children a competitive edge by teaching them the language of a primary driver in the world's economy and culture. I guarantee that most everything on the table here will say made in China somewhere on it. How can we claim global awareness as a central value while simultaneously voting to dismantle this? The program is not failing, it is recovering, and it has already demonstrated the ability to adapt. So I'm asking you to reconsider and work with the parents here to continue this program.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
We next up have Orange Grove parent Lucy Hornby.
Hi, my name is Lucy Hornby. Many of you know me because I've showed up at previous meetings on this topic. We moved to Tucson in 2023, and we chose this school district for one reason alone, and that was the Chinese program. My daughter is currently open enrolled at the Orange Grove Middle School. It's a bit frustrating because, as you can see, parents are very committed to this program, and yet the input we've given during this process has not been followed up on, and we have not until very recently been recruited to advocate to bring new students into the program. My family is responsible for bringing Eric's family in. We currently feel a bit abashed about that, and we've also spread the word to other families. We know that as school boards and as public schools, you're often on the receiving end of a lot of negativity on other topics. The Chinese program is one where I think you can harness the positivity of the parents who really are committed to the program. Now, for those of us, or those of you who are online watching this, the Chinese program at Sunrise Drive delivers good results, and it does attract parents to the district. The quality of teachers is excellent. The children enrolled in Chinese benefit also from very strong math instruction and a strong class spirit. Even the children from non-heritage families, from what I have observed, when they arrive in middle school, they have stronger language skills than the equivalent track for Spanish. That means the Chinese program is teaching at a very high level. Currently, the middle school Chinese program is far weaker than the Sunrise Drive program, and that is a matter of frustration for a lot of parents. On the other hand, the Catalina Foothills High School and the University High School, with cooperation from Rincon High, both offer excellent Chinese programs. So I worry that eliminating the Sunrise Drive program puts those higher level programs at risk rather than supporting and strengthening them. Finally, for those of people who are online who think that learning Chinese is a luxury during a time when public schools are under attack and their funding is being squeezed, I'd like to remind you that one of the strongest and biggest investments in Arizona at the moment is by a Taiwanese semiconductor company, where Chinese is the language of the management team. The Chinese is key to future job opportunities for students in Arizona. It is key to attracting families to Arizona and to this district. And it is also key to the success of Arizona and of Arizona's families in the global situation to come. Thank you very much.
Then I have Steve Morath, Sunrise Drive and Orange Grove parent.
Hi. I have a third grader and a seventh grader. They're both right here in the front. And one of them made it all the way through 5 years of Sunrise Drive studying Chinese. And Julian has had 2 years of Valley View and 3 years at Sunrise Drive. And even if you eliminate this program, we will be fluent in this language. Because, you know, what is a good school district for? You guys have pretty good math scores on the tests, but do you beat Chinese math scores? Do you beat any other country in terms of the average level of bilingual studies? I don't know if any of you have looked, just take a look at the list of how many people are bilingual in every major country. This country is at the bottom. And so many people have talked about how that affects the children's ability to think and to do well in every subject. So what is this district going to do if you get rid of Chinese? I would understand if you want to get rid of Chinese and get what? Italian, French, Russian? What are you going to replace it with? Who's going to fund that? You already have a system in place. You've done all the work. You have a dedicated group of teachers. You have the parents. I think you're making an enormous mistake. And I suspect that the mistake has a lot to do with the political winds of the country right now. But I don't think that this district is quite as subject to those political winds. I don't know, is there some kind of order from somewhere coming in saying get rid of that Chinese program at Sunrise Drive? I doubt it, but if there is, we probably ought to know about that. Otherwise, I think you're really just throwing something out that for no particular reason. I think everyone's made it clear there are plenty of people ready to sign up for this program, enough to keep the classes going. Thank you.
And our last speaker, Sunrise Drive and Valley View parent Dane Denby.
That's what you get for showing up late. Thank you first.
I just wanted to, Amy had mentioned that you wanted to go last so that you could make a decision about whether you actually wanted to speak or not. So that's why I switched those last two sheets.
I get to reset my time now, right?
Yes.
All right.
I just say I love that you're timing yourself.
Yeah. Thank you for attending. Thank you for letting us have it. Thank you for attending from across the world. I can't imagine it's probably 3:30 in the morning, so thank you. I am a parent of a 3-year-old and a soon-to-be 6-year-old. One is in the Mandarin Immersion Program. One is at Valley View, who cannot be in a Mandarin program now. I am one of those success stories of the marketing plan. There's multiple families who brought us over, but we came over. We actually entered Valley View, and our daughter went into Spanish immersion due to some things that had nothing to do with the teachers. We decided to pull her from that Spanish immersion class, stayed at Valley View, and had a wonderful experience. However, we were very excited to get our first daughter into Valley View and then our oldest into Sunrise and into the Mandarin program, and it has been amazing. I really appreciate the K-pop Demon Hunters thing. Not only was that very exciting, but she's been more excited because she understands the culture. This weekend we made moon cakes because it was the Half Moon Festival, which we all understand. And I'm leading that into talking about culture. We are definitely have no Chinese heritage in our family, but it has been an exposure to our kids who are basically have all of their ancestry from the British Isles to have something that is different and to understand how these different places work. I also work in healthcare, so I totally understand nonprofit, small merchants, loss leaders, and having to make decisions. I understand the position you're in. What I wanted to go through real quick is that your number one core value as a school district is citizenship. And as citizenship, it is our job to be citizens of the world in a world that is, as we can see as we call in from wherever we are in Europe, rapidly condensing. And we're talking with not only the people who speak Chinese who run this major company in Arizona, but all across the world. Second, this district, 74% of the people who live in this district are white. 53% of the people who live in Arizona are white. So there's already this massive gap. This and the Spanish program are really the only way that these students have access to understanding different cultures and languages that are offered throughout the state. Third, my wife and I moved here from different states, and one of our big concerns was Arizona education. We're all aware of how this goes. The Foothills School District was the beacon that said, yes, let's make the move. The Mandarin program was the cherry on top of that for us. So what I'm leading to is that is the citizenship and the expansion of our, wow, that went fast. Okay. Here's the real quick thing. $7,500 roughly for a school voucher. There are a lot of students who are going to be at risk. You're in an area that people are not moving to because you're landlocked and the housing prices are increasing, they've doubled. The only way you're going to bring in new people are people like me who are open and enrolling, and you have to have something to attract those students. Without a Mandarin program and without something near like that, you are losing your competitive advantage, your true differentiator compared to the layman's, the basises, whatever else it may be. I think that's something you guys need to take into consideration.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank all of our speakers tonight. Everybody was, pretty great with the 3 minutes. Everyone was very articulate, and we appreciate you coming here this evening. And it is, you're dedicating your time, and it's late in the evening. But we will now turn it over to Dr. Denise Bartlett, who is going to actually present what is a proposal at this point. I think one of the comments that was made was that this decision is kind of like a done deal. This is a proposal. And we have read the same memos that you have read. And we're looking forward to Dr. Bartlett's presentation on this and the ability to address some of the questions that you've raised in your public comment this evening. I assure you that our board members probably have some of the same questions. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Bartlett.
Thank you, and I'm going to call Cheryl Castro to the podium as well.
Oh, did I call out the wrong person? I guess
that's okay.
That's what my agenda's for. Thank you, Cheryl. Cheryl is our Executive Director of Curriculum and Assessment. And yes, you have more than 3 minutes.
Thank you. Are you able to start up that PowerPoint? I'll talk slowly till we get going. So this presentation outlines the highlights of the gradual phase-out plan for the Mandarin Chinese Immersion Program at Sunrise Drive Elementary School. You, of course, have many more details that are available in your board packets on pages 50 to 55. If you'd like to follow along there, that would be fine.
Cheryl, I apologize. Can you pull the microphone closer to you, please?
There we go. How's this?
That's
Check,
much better.
check,
Thank you
check.
so much.
Well, thanks, Ryan. So let's start with a little bit of the program background. As most of you know, we began this program in 2013-14 at Sunrise Drive Elementary. This was after more than a year of study with experts in the field, including partners at the with the Utah Dual Language Program, and some internationally renowned experts such as Dr. Mimi Met and others who helped us create the program. It was to be a 50-50 partial immersion program, which means that students would spend half the day learning, addressing academic standards in Mandarin Chinese, and the other half the day addressing academic standards in English. It was designed for approximately 300 students, K-5, with 2 teachers per grade level. So what that looks like is when I would walk into a second grade classroom, for example, there would be a Chinese immersion teacher in one room, and then in an adjoining room there would be an English-speaking teacher. They would each have 25 students because there were 50 students enrolled in the program. They would be addressing math or ELA on one side of the day, and then science and health on the Chinese language arts on the other side of the day. At midday, they would switch. We also used what they called the roller coaster model, which was recommended to us by the folks up in Utah who have a lot of experience with immersion programs. The roller coaster model is when, if I'm in group A of the second grade classroom, I begin my day on Monday in the Chinese classroom with my Chinese teacher and then switch to the English side in the afternoon. But on Tuesday, I'm going to start my day on the English side of the classroom and then flip back to Chinese in the afternoon. This was recommended to us because they said that students have different energy levels at different times of day, and we didn't want to put any students at a disadvantage by starting at their sleepiest time of the day versus their most active time of the day. So that was one of the many, many things that we instituted with scheduling that would help students to be successful in the program. The goals of the program have remained the same since the very beginning. They're the same 4 goals that we've talked about ever since we started. Students will meet or exceed grade level academic standards. They'll acquire communicative and academic proficiency in English and Mandarin Chinese. They'll gain an appreciation of other cultures and a deeper understanding of their own culture. And they'll increase the capacity for creative thinking and problem solving. Many of our parents have mentioned the benefits of bilingualism, of learning languages. That is one of them. We are going to move. Do you want me to stop after each slide, or should we just move through? We'll move through and then you can note your questions. So table 1 shows enrollment trends. This is on page 52 of your board packet. This is the data that we've been sharing about the immersion program, which shows a gradual decline. You'll notice in 2013-14, when we began, we had 60 students. We more than tripled that number as we move up to 2017-18. Almost tripled that to 200 students, and that was a pretty significant growth. At the time, to be honest, we did not expect it to grow that quickly, and it did. So we were happy to see that. We reached the peak in 2018-19, just before the pandemic, with 205 students, which represented 37% of the Sunrise Drive population. From 2019 on, you'll see a gradual decline until we reach this year's enrollment numbers, which is 105. And I feel like I should point out here that the numbers that you see before this year's, those are end of year numbers. But the 2025-2026 enrollment number of 105, that's our current number. Typically, in the Chinese immersion program, sometimes we have students who join mid-year, but because it's very difficult and very rare to find a student who might join in 2nd to 5th grade because they have to show comparable proficiency to the cohort that they're joining. We have had it happen before, but it doesn't happen as much as just students transferring into the district might happen. So typically that number drops throughout the year simply because there's not an opportunity to add that many students. So we're currently at 105 students. That represents 21.9% of the population, the enrollment population of Sunrise Drive Elementary. One of the notes that we offered you in the board packet was to look at, this speaks to the cost of the program right now. If we compare the 2025 enrollment data of 105 students, if you look back on the second year of the program, 2014-15, when we had 106 students, you need to remember that in 2014-15, that was K1 and 2. That was 3 grade levels. Now we have K5 with this almost the same number with 6 grade levels. And so that's a significant FTE investment in kids in the program. So this has led to many staffing challenges, and as a parent mentioned earlier, we have had to be very creative in the scheduling. Principal Davidson can attest to that, what it takes to run the schedule and to try to figure out how teachers are going to share students, because it's not as easy, and it wasn't easy before, but it's not as simple, excuse me, it's not as simple as 2 teachers sharing one group of 50 students. So with those staffing challenges, we've also lost the 50-50 model integrity. Since we don't have the 2-teacher model, since the pandemic, the Chinese immersion teachers have been teaching across into the English content areas, and they have been serving both sides of the 50-50 model. All in all, we're serving fewer students per grade level than we did when the program was in its early years. To complicate that, if we move to Table 2 in your board packet on page 53, Valley View has experienced some difficulty in recruiting enough students to make their program viable. Although Community Schools has funded it for many, many years with numbers of students from 12 to 19. You'll see if you look at those, the lowest number of students enrolled during those years was 12, the highest number was 19. As we began to examine the enrollment data for 2025-26, we noted that there were 7 students who expressed an interest in enrolling. 5 of those students were full-time students. 2 were part-time students who only came on certain days of the week. As the team examined those numbers, they realized that it was financially unfeasible to continue the program, and so it was discontinued. Obviously, this meant that Sunrise Drive is now losing an important feeder program. So we move to the slide about efforts to sustain the program. These 3 bullet points don't really capture everything that we've done over the years since 2013. Many of us in this room have been involved in making it work for Chinese, the things, everything from the community engagement events to helping new teachers come to us, forming partnerships with the University of Michigan to find intern teachers who we could train, sponsoring visas for teachers. These are all things that we did happily because we believe in the outcomes of the program. But we have been very consistent across the years in making sure that our students are engaged with community events, such as the University of Arizona Star Talk Summer Camp, Tucson Chinese Cultural Center's competitions, the annual Centennial Hall Chinese New Year celebration. We also have had multiple different performances around town, social media ads, campaigns. Everyone knows and loves, of course, Chinese Spring Festival at the Sunrise Drive, which is an event that's valued by both immersion and non-immersion families, traditional families at Sunrise Drive. The creative scheduling, under bullet 2, we've I already talked about that. The teacher responsibility for cross-grade instruction has come up. So instead of, if anybody ever tells you that immersion instruction is easy, it's not. Chinese immersion in particular is challenging for the teachers, and they have done an amazing job of making it work. One of the reasons for this is, given our geographic context for Spanish immersion, there are lots of resources we can use. Our Spanish immersion teachers still have to create a lot of their own resources, and many of the new AI tools that we've bought have helped them to do that. But Chinese immersion teachers have faced a big challenge throughout the years of having to spend hours, countless hours, creating and translating materials on their own. That's become a bit easier with AI these days, but they still have to put in a lot of work to do that. And now they're responsible not only for that, but also for the other side of the day, for the English side of the day. So it becomes a bit unsustainable that way. They've done an amazing job with that up to this point. It's also required many flexible groupings of students, which means we're no longer sharing students between just 2 teachers. It's 3 teachers or 4 different classrooms where students are parceled out depending on the time of day and who is going to be teaching math that day, who's going to be taking them for science, social studies, etc. Extended learning is another thing that I think we have really done a good job with our immersion program throughout the years. First, because we had a partnership with the Confucius Classroom or the Confucius Institute at the University of Arizona. We invited many visiting scholars to come and to show our students demonstrations and to also engage them in art, music, dance, calligraphy. These are all skills that students have reported. Even when I see the students at the high school, they fondly remember the days when the Chinese experts would come in. At the district office, you'll see some gifts that are framed in my office of when visiting artists came from China through the Confucius Institute, where they would do painting exhibitions for our art classes and such. So we've been very fortunate to have extended learning opportunities for our students. Just last year, because the teachers knew that we were the scheduling that we had to do with the allocation of FTE, they knew that students were receiving fewer minutes of instruction in Chinese than they would have otherwise, and so they offered before school classes for the teacher or for the students where they could come in and work on Mandarin matrix so that they could increase their literacy skills. And so they have done, I cannot say enough how much Andrea Davidson's team has done to make sure that the kids are getting a really positive experience in the Chinese immersion program. Despite all those efforts, though, our enrollment seems to be declining over time. And so this slide, table 3, which is incorrectly labeled table 2 in your board packet on page 52, I'll correct that next week. With this trend in declining enrollment in mind, we are recommending a gradual phase out of the program. Starting next year, we won't offer kindergarten, and then each year after that, we would offer one less grade level with the culminating class of grade 5 in 2030, 2031. They would be completing 5th grade in that year. We do want to honor our commitment to our students and our teachers. I've been pretty active with the immersion community for many, many years. And there are communities up in Phoenix whose programs were cut completely overnight. There was no gradual release. They were just cut from one day to the next. And so I'm hoping that we don't do that. I hope that we honor the commitment to our kids and to our teachers, and we keep our program for the students who are in it currently. And our Chinese immersion teachers are amazing teachers. They are fully certificated individuals. They could teach in any classroom in our whole system, in our K-5 system. And we hope that they choose to continue teaching in CFSD even if the immersion program is phased out. So with that, I just wanted to mention that we do recognize that the proposal to phase out the program is disappointing to everyone involved, the students, the teachers, the administrators, our families, any staff members, our partners who we've worked with for years and who've supported us. And we share in honoring the impressive outcomes it's produced. Many of our parents tonight have cited chapter and verse research about language education, something that's, if you know me at all, is near and dear to my heart. The program has opened doors for students to develop valuable linguistic and cultural skills, and we're grateful for the teachers, parents, and students who have sustained it with passion and commitment so far. While the program structure can't be sustained financially any longer, the values it embodies, global awareness, curiosity, and respect for other cultures, will remain a central component of our educational mission. There was some mention of that before, and I understand why people would be worried about that, because that's something that I taught in a classroom in world languages, and it's not so much that I wanted students to be able to speak Spanish for the rest of their lives. That would have been a great bonus. But my students, when they walked away, or when they come back and they talk to me, they talk about how that piece, the cultural part of it and the part of being able to understand other people's perspectives, was one of the most valuable things they learned in our World Languages program. We do have an extremely strong World Languages program, K-12. It's been recognized nationally at conferences that we go to, and so our students who are in the Chinese immersion program move on to that World Languages program in middle school and then high school. And so we will continue to honor those values. That's core. And if you turn around and want to check out some of our transfer goals in the back of the room, you'll find the ones for world languages, which speak directly to the things, the outcomes that we're hoping for our students who either are in immersion or in our world languages program. And with that, if you have questions, I'm here.
I would just like to thank you for your report out. I acknowledge this is a difficult conversation for everybody. So I am sure we're going to try to keep this more factual and objective to the extent possible so that we can have a productive discussion. But please note, by no means does that, please know that that doesn't mean we don't care. We truly care very, very deeply. And we have responsibilities to have a factual, objective discussion tonight as well. So thank you, Cheryl, for setting forth the platform for us to have this conversation. Madam President?
I would like to open it up to all of our board members. I'm sure that there are a lot of questions here. I know I've taken quite a few notes on some of our public comment that I want to make sure we address, and I see Amy Kraus would like to start us off. None.
That's
Thank you for
correct.
that,
There
Amy.
is no political pressure of any point that is causing us to bring this forward.
Several parents have mentioned that this seems to kind of come out from nowhere, feeling blindsided by this. And it's true that this is probably the first time that it's percolated up to the board level, obviously in terms of a proposal to us. But I guess I'm curious as to when your discussions at the administrative team level started maybe seeing some handwriting on the wall that we might come to this day. In other words, did this start happening over the summer, or has this been percolating up to the admin level longer than that?
I think you can look back to the start of the decline of enrollment is when this started. We've had these discussions almost every year about the decline in enrollment and the impact on, finances as well as programs, and which is why we have implemented all of the creative scheduling, all of the creative programming that we did to try to sustain it as long as we could. But we started when the enrollment started to decline, to be honest.
So roughly, I should be able to do this.
6 years ago. 19.
5 or 6 years.
It's always been in our mind about.
It's important to note as well that every year, every single year, we look at the enrollment for every class, for every teachers are hired based on that. And so every program has been examined. It's not like we pulled Chinese immersion out and only focused on that. Chinese immersion has been standing out for the last several years because of the FTE commitment to it with the number of students, the per pupil cost.
Can you just, for the benefit of our audience, when you say the FTE component, can you just explain what that means, please?
The number of teachers who are assigned.
Stands for full-time equivalent.
Thanks.
So currently, there are 3.5 additional teachers assigned to Sunrise Drive. The rough cost of an average teacher is $80,000+. So that's an additional cost for this program.
When you say the cost, that's comprised of?
Salary, fixed costs that we have to pay for retirement, and then their medical benefits. And then there's supplies and things that go in. But then there are also visa costs that we've incurred lots of costs for obtaining visas for the program as well.
How long have our current teachers been with us?
This has been the most stable.
It's an excellent team. They've been around
Yeah,
for a
this
while.
is-
Ms. Davidson, 5 years?
5 years.
Great.
And that wasn't always the case.
No, I know.
That was not always the case. We had staffing challenges early on in the program, and we have not experienced that. We've got this stable core of teachers now.
So it's easy for me to understand the 50-50 model, where I'm teaching this group of students in Chinese, and then I switch and I get this next group of students in Chinese. You've talked a lot about the flexible scheduling as a means to adapt to the challenges of this program. Can you explain that a little bit more to me, what that looks like, just a day in the life of a Chinese immersion teacher at Sunrise Drive, and what that looks like? It's not as easy for me than the 50-50 model to
Can you come up and
conceptualize that?
Because she works with this schedule on a daily basis. We have been involved in the scheduling, but for me to talk about it, I don't have the intimate knowledge
hear
that
ya.
she has.
Welcome.
So I'll give you some examples, and then if you need more information, you can ask questions. I think I understand what you're asking. So we have one teacher who teaches just kindergarten, but she does open her room to some of the first graders in the morning before 8 o'clock. Then we have a teacher who is a second grade homeroom teacher, but also teaches first grade students science, social studies, health, and Mandarin. So that teacher has a cohort of first graders and the second grade students that she teaches. And then we have another teacher who teaches this very similar model, but the grade levels are different. She teaches third and fourth grade. And then we have one teacher who is a homeroom teacher for our fifth grade students. In addition, she works with kindergarten through fifth grade students for Chinese literacy and culture. The other two teachers that I mentioned before, the one that teaches first and second grade and third and fourth grade, also teach Chinese literacy and culture on certain days. So there are a lot of cohorts of children and subjects that the teachers are working with each day.
So are those teachers, I'm sorry, can you clarify, are those teachers teaching Mandarin classes or teaching in Mandarin for the full day, whether it's Mandarin, science, social studies, or are they?
No. I'd like to just go through the grade levels because it's different. In kindergarten, our kindergarten teacher teaches all the subjects in Mandarin. It's the only grade level like that. In first grade, the children are actually assigned to a homeroom that is a traditional classroom. So they have one teacher for English language arts and math. The students then report to another teacher who is their Mandarin teacher for science, social studies, health, and Mandarin.
Social studies in English.
That's the part, social studies is taught in English. So the other content is in Mandarin. The teachers that have homerooms, the second grade teacher and the fourth grade teacher that are Mandarin teachers but have homerooms as well, they also have a math class.
In
English.
Okay.
So that's kind of an example of the flexibility that we've tried to instill into the schedule to make this work. So what is the main driver that makes us think those adaptations aren't sustainable? Is it truly just budget, or is it anything else?
I was going to, can you tell us about how many minutes of Mandarin the students are receiving?
So over time, Arizona regulations have changed since we began the program. And so in order to meet the regulations for ELA, we had to take minutes away from Mandarin. So when we first started the program, we did not have a regulation for ELA. And parents understood that half the day was in English and included math, social studies, and ELA, and the other was in Mandarin. However, the revised statutes move on with reading. There are many pieces that go into play. We no longer have the flexibility as a public school. We must offer a minimum of 120 minutes of English language arts each day. That means that we had to grab minutes from the other content areas. That was for traditional or Mandarin program. That was just in general. All elementary schools had to make sure they were offering 120 minutes of ELA. As a result, our students have a range of minutes from 40 to 60 minutes a day of Mandarin. In addition to that, that's with the block of time with their immersion teacher, but in addition to that, in a week's time, they go to their world language experience, which we call Chinese Literacy and Culture, and that is 100% in Mandarin. And for kindergartners, that's 30 minutes twice a week, or an hour a week. And then for our first graders through fifth graders, that's an additional 2 hours a week.
Cheryl, I think, and I'm going to assume then that we had a similar challenge with the Spanish immersion when we had to take minutes away from Spanish immersion for
We have had to take
the
minutes
ELA.
We have had to take minutes away, but the difference is that we still have the luxury of a partner teacher and an immersion teacher, and so we don't have to worry about different groupings and bringing students back together for full Spanish instruction. So it is less time because of the statute.
For Chinese immersion.
For Spanish
then
and Chinese.
Okay.
Chinese is less than Spanish. Fewer minutes.
Because of the staffing?
Because of the staffing.
Okay.
And enrollment.
Yes,
Which
staffing
is
being
because of
related to
enrollment,
enrollment.
right.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Bartlett.
Thank you. Great. Can you make it back? Bye.
I know that when we started, when we talked about this issue with the preschool, we had a lot of some of the same parents come and speak to our board meeting and made comment on the importance of the program, and we responded to that pretty quickly with the advisory committee that we set up at Sunrise Drive. Can you talk to us a little bit about how that went, and is that committee still active? And if so, what is that committee doing?
The committee is not active this year, correct, Andrea? Yeah, the committee work ended last year.
Can you describe the work?
Oh, so we met, oh gosh, Andrea, I'm sorry. I'm sure you have more details in your head. I don't want to give you the wrong number of times that we met. I was there, but I don't remember the number of times.
We had two main goals. One was to increase enrollment, so recruitment, and the other was to sustain a rich program for our students. And so a lot of effort was put into different strategies. One was partnering with the University of Arizona, with parents that spoke to this evening, because those professionals offer connections to resources in the community, to people, and to activities, for example, that we could share information at to recruit. We also produced 2 different videos that we shared with people via email, but also on our website and through social media that highlighted the program. One was research-based and scientific and was done by our parents, and the other was the parent perspective, the more what a parent was thinking when they chose the program and how they feel as a result of their students, what they've experienced. So our goal was to, we had some specific numbers of students that we wanted to enroll at Sunrise Drive last year, and we did meet those goals. So the committee was successful last year.
Okay. And was a decision made that we didn't need to continue that committee, or I assume the recruiting efforts that were instituted because of that committee are still ongoing?
I would say they are definitely ongoing, and it's something that I do every single day as a principal at Sunrise Drive, and it's something that I'm continuing to work on. The committee has not met this year.
So
I'm
is
hogging
there
the questions.
No,
so-
you're fine. You're fine. I just want to carry on that. I just want to tease that thread a little bit more, if I may. Is there a plan to reconvene the committee, or help me to understand the situation with the committee, please? Is there a plan to reconvene it? Are we pulling it
We
back
started the
together?
committee from the direction by Dr. Bartlett, and so the work was done under her supervision.
So, Dr. Bartlett, is there a plan to reconvene the committee, or do you feel that work is done, or help us to understand that
We do not have
situation?
current plans to reconvene the committee, no. It's not that we couldn't reconvene the committee. We just decided not to when we were talking about the phase out of this plan. Because it doesn't make sense to recruit because kids have to test into proficiency, so the only grade levels that they could come into would be kindergarten or first grade. By second grade, they have to test proficient. So the recruitment efforts seemed a little futile if we were going to recommend the phase out.
There was some commentary that some of the feedback that was provided by the committee was not followed up on. And I don't know specifically what that was. I don't know if you guys are aware of what that was or if that feedback has come to you. But I would be curious to find out what that was, and if we feel like there has been some feedback from the committee that wasn't responded to. I would assume there's a reason why for that.
If I could respectfully respond to that?
Sure, please.
That is not the message I heard tonight. I did not hear that the committee, feedback to the committee was not listened to.
Maybe I misheard.
There was one speaker who said it, but yeah, I think if we can look into that a little bit.
So I'm willing to engage with any community member, and if we didn't listen, we are always ready to at the site level. And I am, if this, the person who said it, if they feel that I'm misunderstanding and you were speaking about the committee that we had last year, please reach out to me via email. I will respond tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. And I know you're very responsive.
I just
I know
didn't
you
hear
are.
that tonight.
When we get feedback like that, that's something that I'd always like to see our board and our administration follow up on, because our parents did invest a lot of time, and this committee did invest some time in helping us try to salvage this program. So I just would like to get a little bit more information regarding that.
I would also like to share that we had parent members on our committee.
Oh, I know. I know you did, and many of the parents, and some of the parents that were in this room. So I am aware of that. I definitely am. And thank you. I appreciate you being willing to follow up on that.
May I pivot topics? Is that all right?
Pardon me?
Do you have anything else on that?
No,
May I
go
pivot
ahead. By all
topics?
means, go ahead.
Dr. Bartlett, could we speak to, dive into the goals a little bit? So Ms. Castro shared, if I, sorry, my computer's acting up here, bear with me. On page one of, I'm not sure which page of the board book it was, but page one of this exhibit, spoke to the original goal of 300 students approximately across 6 grades, meaning 50 students per grade level.
Correct.
Was the original goal. We had at least one community member speak to, is that still an effective goal, or is that still the right goal to have in terms of enrollment? 12 years later, post the launch of this program, what are your thoughts on the optimum level of enrollment that we need to make this program financially viable and sustainable?
Well, if we're going to have a true 50-50 model, we need 2 full classrooms. An average class is 25 students. So you would need 25 students in 2 classrooms, which would be 50 per grade level. So 50 students per grade, K-5 is going to be 300 students. Now, all of our classrooms are not at 25, but we don't run them at 20 either. But our Chinese immersion program, we have run them as low as 11.
Because we have to.
Correct. And that's not equitable either.
I agree, yeah.
So, we've got our traditional classrooms, some at 27, 28.
That's always been a push and pull with this program.
It has been.
Since its early days.
It has. And we've run classes as low as, like I said, 11. So there's that. The optimum is 25 in a class for 2 classes for 300.
Thank you. And then this is based on the original premise of it being a 50-50 model, and yet the measures taken post-COVID, or during and post-COVID, with regards to flexible staffing, have resulted in something
Not
less than a
50-50.
50-50
It's
model.
not a 50-50.
So how does that affect the numbers that are needed to make the program financially viable and sustainable?
Well, I don't think that changes. I think the ultimate goal is a 50-50. This is a Band-Aid basically, is what we've done, is less than a 50-50 model. Cheryl will tell you that, to get the proficiency levels that we expect, less than a 50-50 model, it makes that very challenging. So the goals of the program are really diminished as well, because we're not going to get to those proficiency levels for students to continue on in a program in high school or middle school.
Understood, but I'm just going to push at this a little bit more, if I may, with your permission, and Grace here. If we're looking at a 50-50 model as the optimum, understood, right, and understood the longer-term impact of proficiency there. But if we're looking at 50-50 model versus no model, is there something in between that is financially viable and sustainable?
Well, we could have our Chinese immersion teacher teaching both English and Chinese with 25 students in a class. And that would require 6 teachers, plus a Chinese and culture teacher. So that would be the intermediate, but it would still need to be a full class of that. So 25 times 6 plus, then we,
So 150 students would
150.
be, is that right?
Yes.
Am I thinking about it correctly? Okay, thank you for indulging me there.
So we're already at some sort of intermediate model. It's less than 50-50. We're at some sort of intermediate model. Have we seen our students' performance decline as that number of minutes has declined? Is that something that we've been able to see?
I don't have any data on proficiency assessments at the end of the year. I can look at the can-do statements. Teachers
We don't
have.
we don't see a decline in it. We do not. And when you mentioned 50-50 being the ideal, with the 120 minutes of ELA, doesn't it make the ideal impossible? Because unless I misunderstood that conversation,
well,
we had to take minutes away from the 50-50, even in Spanish immersion. Then so we can't get back to 50-50. We could probably get a lot closer to 50-50 than we are right now if we had more students. But getting back to that ideal doesn't sound like, at least under the current structure of the state, we can't get back to that.
Right.
At this point.
We could get closer like we are with Spanish immersion.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is about 60-40.
Yeah, about 60-40 last time we checked.
Thanks. Amy, I don't mean to forget about you up there. How are you doing and what questions do you have?
It's morning for her. She's fine now.
I know.
She's fine. I'm sorry, Amy. Ryan, are we able to increase the volume on Amy? She's difficult to hear.
We can hear you. We are straining just a little bit. Ryan looks like he's on the job over there,
He's
trying
on the
to
move.
increase your volume a little bit. I mean, we can hear you.
We can hear you. You're just muffled, and this is an important conversation, and I want to make sure that the audience can hear you.
There you go.
There you go. We're good.
Or first grade.
And first grade. Correct. Correct. Well, it's hard to determine what actually occurred from the recruitment effort, but we do have 21 kindergarten students. I'm not sure how many new first graders that we got from that.
So we increased, we've been running class size of 17 for kindergarten, and this current year we have 20.
At kindergarten?
Yes.
Yes, and we have 2 new first graders.
For a total of?
Ooh, I don't have that in my memory.
Okay.
I can go look it up.
I can look it up.
17 in first grade. Sorry. I think it's in your board packet. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
remember the committee considered that option last year, and the committee members indicated that most parents would choose to stay at Sunrise Drive rather than moving to Ventana if that were to happen.
Interesting.
Do you recall the same?
The committee did take a look at that, and what we looked at were minutes and staffing. We did a study to see if that could support the teacher assignment to the program by sharing the teachers at Ventana for Spanish immersion, so the English partner part. And mathematically, we weren't able to come up with a solution that provided more resources. So moving the students could happen, but then the committee did discuss what is an unintended consequence of moving students from their school to Ventana Vista when you're not recouping any of the advantage you're looking for, which is resources. We could not come up with a way for the resources to be used more efficiently. And so then there's an unintended consequence of, so you're just moving students to move students. You're actually not making a gain, which is why you started researching the idea in the first place.
So we determined that sharing the English teachers at Ventana Vista would not,
No, it would, we did calculate it, and it saved about a 0.5 FTE is all.
Half a teacher.
Okay.
Which is a half-time teacher.
For the entire K through 5 program with the numbers we had last year.
Yeah, with the numbers we had, plus what we had at Ventana Vista and combining the two programs.
I'm going to say that the staff and the committee, we really thought this could be a viable solution. And we learned through the number crunching that it wasn't as viable. It wasn't going to provide the instructional minutes that were needed. I think when you start looking at the number of children in cohorts, it adds meaning to the story that theoretically when we're talking around a table about something, you don't understand all the ramifications until you put the numbers and the names behind those numbers. And then all of a sudden you realize, oh, it's a theory and it doesn't necessarily play out. Because what happens is you still need the same number of teachers for all those children.
I did want to ask, do we have the same rule in Spanish immersion that you have to enter in K or 1?
Yes.
Okay.
For the immersion program.
For the immersion program, yes, for the immersion program. But I would imagine maybe it's more common for kids to be able to test in 2 through 5 than it maybe is in Mandarin.
Yeah, wouldn't you say?
So
Yes, it is more
to
common.
bring home Amy's point a little bit more, the enrollment in grades 2 through 5 can only go down. It, for the most part, is never going to go up when you take into account movement and families move out of the district or what have you.
We maybe get 1 or 2, maybe. Not some, I mean, in Spanish we get more.
Yeah.
But in Chinese, that's not typical.
Natural attrition, you know, with families moving and things like that. Our numbers are traditionally starting around 20 in kindergarten. This year we have 21, and they trickle down to about 15 by the time we're in 5th grade.
That low.
So that's, when you consider a normal class would be 25, we're roughly 10 short in 4th and 5th grade, and then that's somewhere in the middle at 3rd grade, and then yes, at kinder and first, we're closer to that full class of 25. Right. So, you know, when we're talking about a full classroom, we're looking at those 25 kids that, you know, even if we're able to share a teacher between 1st and 2nd grade, like Ms. Davidson's been able to do. Essentially, we need 25 students to make a healthy program at each grade level.
Sure. Go, Amy.
Sometimes, yes. I mean, we have that. They don't always leave the district. Sometimes they stay in, they want to stay in the traditional classroom or at Sunrise Drive or one of our other schools. They don't always leave the district, but they're,
Yeah, and that's both with Spanish and
Right.
Chinese. Sometimes they just leave the immersion program and go into a traditional classroom at Sunrise Drive or at Ventana Vista.
Although
Well,
now at
and not
Ventana
at
Vista, they can't
no,
do
they
that
can't
anymore.
do that. They would,
They'd have to go to one of the other elementaries.
they would have to go, you're correct.
Other questions, folks? I know you've got a list over there, you two.
I was going to say, I'm sure you guys have questions.
I know
Some
they do.
questions. I do, just to give equivalent numbers, so the goal is the original goal was 50-50 in immersion. The realistic Spanish immersion, which kind of is able to bear our optimal case here, is more like a 60-40. My math brain wasn't working very well based on the time frames for Mandarin instruction. What is that ratio roughly for the Chinese immersion program? If we're talking 60-40, is it 70?
Well, I'm not going to do the math right here, but I am going to agree that when Andrea says there's 40 to 60 minutes a day in the classroom in Chinese plus 2 hours a week in Chinese literacy, and culture class is about 300, what would that be, 340 some minutes a week of instruction,
Give or take.
give or take.
Yeah. See, I'm not the only one
Yeah,
who's
there's,
struggling with it.
yeah, well, there's 7.5 hours. 7 hours?
That's about a little over 5 hours
Yeah.
a week.
Yeah,
5.5 hours a week out of, I should be able to do this in my head, but how
late.
many hours in a school week?
We can have that next, at our
Yeah.
next.
Instructional hours.
That
I mean,
would
but
be-
roughly, it sounds like it's probably like an 80-20, if
Well,
not
Less.
less. Okay. So it's already it just feels like everything we're hearing about this is everyone is trying their hardest on the recruitment side, on the implementation side, to make some piece of this work, facing headwinds in every area. Is that an accurate
Yes,
recap?
I think we've been,
Well, it's been a challenge, it has. I mean, and as Ms. Castro said, we have tried many things to try to hold on to what we could, and it's just becoming untenable.
And what I'm hearing on the recruitment side is that there has been active engagement with the community, broadly and narrowly, to try to increase enrollment. I see from 24-25 to 25-26 this uptick from 91 to 105. Point taken, that's an end of year number to a beginning of year number, but even with that, the gain of 14 there, were there other factors leading to that gain of 14? Was that a function of recruiting? Were there other programs elsewhere? I'm trying to figure out how much of this is effort and how much of this is one-offs.
We don't have the exact numbers, but we do know that the international school moved their program. And so we believe, we don't know for sure, I don't think we've surveyed them. Did we, Andrea? We didn't survey when they came in, but we believe that the moving of the international schools program to a different location, families made a choice to come. Now, will we get that same advantage this year?
Next year.
No.
Maybe not. We don't know.
What other school districts offer Mandarin immersion in Pima County?
I believe just Vail currently.
Just Vail currently?
In terms of public
Schools.
School.
Yeah. Public
Yes.
schools, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, do
Basis
we know, are
does.
there private schools that are offering
Basis
that?
does
Basis
offer.
does.
and the international school, of course.
And the international.
They moved it. And you said they moved it, but they moved it where?
I don't know where the new
Still
location
in
is. Do you-
Tucson. They just moved further east, I believe.
Yeah, they moved
I'm not quite
locations.
sure of the precise location, but they're still in Tucson, just in
Okay,
Pima
gotcha.
County.
Thank you. So there is competition.
There are
obviously.
other options.
Yes.
Yeah.
Other questions? I don't know if we lost Amy or if she just had to turn off her camera for a bit, but other questions? Jacqueline, we haven't.
she's
heard
back.
her. There she is.
I have a question. I'm sorry, go ahead, Amy.
Okay, thanks.
I'm wondering, for the students who are not in Chinese immersion, are their class sizes impacted due to the Chinese immersion program? Are their class sizes larger as a result than we would ideally like them to be?
Well, when the students are in their immersion class, no. When the immersion students join that English class, yes. Correct?
Yes.
Yes. It increases those class sizes.
At every grade. Well, it increases, but the range, it depends on the grade.
Yes.
And I do not have this memorized. Grades kindergarten through fourth grade are not having an impact that feels as though the class sizes are too big. However, our fifth grade ELA and math classes are very large because our fifth grade immersion teacher only teaches the one block, and that means that the immersion students need to go into the classrooms. And we have one class of 34 in ELA, one of 36 in ELA, and we have a math class of 36. I do feel as a principal that we pass the tipping point. I think that once we move over 30, it's very difficult to run small group reading groups. It's very difficult to have writing conferences at the frequency that we would like to do and that we feel benefits students. So I do feel that we do have 3 sections in 5th grade of classes that are large this year because the students are coming together and the FTE is not there.
And moving forward, since this would be, the 5th graders would ideally be going on to ECMS next year. With the phase out, would this continue to be an issue with large classes, do you think?
So class size is not defined by a program. Class size, the FTE that's assigned to the school is done in collaboration with Dr. Bartlett and Ms. Westover, and it is determined by enrollment. So when we see a spike in enrollment, as Sunrise experienced for 5th grade in the late spring and summer, those projections then create larger class size than anticipated because the staffing decisions are made the spring before. So your question, I would not want to create a situation where I was placing blame on a program for a large class size. We see the impact of making decisions in the spring for staffing, and that's when we can hire folks. And there are times when we have greater numbers moving in than we expect. And I will tell you from experience, years of experience at Sunrise Drive, it is very difficult to find candidates once you hit June. And so as a result, I did speak to Ms. Westover and we were able to provide educational assistance support for those 3 sections because we had not seen a candidate come through, a viable candidate come through with an application at the elementary level since I did the last hiring in the district for the season in the middle of June. It's very difficult to find teachers. So I want to be very careful in that, yes, because we're combining the children from the two programs into the math and ELA classes, because the immersion teacher is not teaching all day with those children, we do have large class sizes this year, but that does not mean that will be replicated in the future years. This is what is happening with this cohort. And a big part of it is about registrations that happened late spring through the beginning of the year. It's not about the immersion program.
Well, thank you. That was the clarification I was looking for. And I misspoke. They go to OGMS, not ECMS.
Correct.
Well, yeah, they
Yes.
don't have to, but they
Generally
tend
speaking,
to.
yes.
Yeah.
That was my question.
That was it?
This is, I don't know that there's an answer to this question, but at what point is an immersion program not an immersion program? I mean, where does it lose its effectiveness compared to a traditional foreign language course?
I believe that the number of minutes that students are in the Chinese immersion program now is almost the same as the number of minutes that our world languages students are in their classrooms. I'd have to go back and check that, but when I looked at this number, about 35 to 40 minutes a day, 40 to 60 minutes a day, that's about what our world languages students are in.
So the only difference really is the breadth of subject matter they're exposed to.
And some of this teaching strategies, so in our world languages classrooms, teachers may move into English if they need to. If they've tried strategies to help students understand and they're not getting it, they can make a choice to move into English. In our immersion program, we don't do that. It's all Chinese, all Spanish.
Is there a scenario where if we do need to go to approve this proposal and not have the immersion program, is there a scenario where we offer Mandarin as a class from kindergarten through 5th grade?
I mean, a community schools class?
No, as an academic class.
Like we
World
offer
language.
Spanish.
Like,
For our
oh,
traditional
I see what
language.
you
saying.
exactly,
I see what you're
like we do for Spanish, because currently, for example, at Manzanita, Spanish is a class, right? It's not an immersion program, but it is a class from kindergarten all the way through to, all the way through 5th grade. So I'm curious, is there a scenario that would do the same, but in Mandarin at Sunrise?
We have not discussed that at length. That was brought up as a choice of having a Mandarin world language class versus a Spanish world language class, and parents choosing that, one or the other. There's going to be staffing challenges because you're going to have part-time people, right? If they're a staff member, if we only have 106 families who choose that Mandarin world language, that's not going to fill an FTE for a whole week of kids going 4 days a week for 30 minutes or 60 minutes. I think they go 200 minutes a week for the world language at the elementary level. They would get 200 minutes a week.
Although, as we've heard earlier, they are certificated, and so potentially, and obviously, I'm not trying to say that this would happen, but potentially they could do their 200 minutes of a quote unquote standalone Mandarin class per grade level, and then which is maybe 0.5 of an FTE. I can't do the math that quickly in my head, and then the other 0.5 of that FTE they could be teaching a math class or what have you. Is that something that you might be willing to look into and come back to us with some thoughts on whether that is
We can have that
viable for our
discussion.
next meeting?
We can have that discussion.
Thank you.
Thoughts on that, Cheryl?
We could look into it, talk about it.
Yeah, you just look like you have feelings about that.
I just know that staffing is going to be a problem no matter which way we go.
Absolutely.
Because we've been working on this since the last 8 years, when things have started to go down, 7 years, whatever it is. Trying to
Understood.
figure it out. It's just it's a complicated puzzle, as evidenced by Andrea's description of how things fit together. So changing the name of it from one thing to another, I don't know.
Correct me if I'm wrong. As Sunrise, we offer Spanish classes.
Yes.
Correct. And so I'm just curious to understand, and not now, but to come back to our next meeting, right? I'm not trying to put either of you on the spot at this point, but I'm just curious to explore that, just to sort of like tease at that thread a little bit more. What might it look like at Sunrise if there is a Mandarin standalone class? I'm using this because I'm not sure if my terminology is correct, but a Mandarin class option or a Spanish class option for parents to choose between for their students.
I can predict one challenge in that you have a class of 25 students and 6 are going to go to Mandarin and the rest are going to go to Spanish.
Understood.
And so that's, and
So we're right back at square one.
Well, again, what it means in terms of scheduling, which I fully understand, I don't understand the complexities, but I hear the complexities.
and then do we have a class for 6?
But again, can we just explore
And a
it
class
potentially
for-
And there's
next
no
time?
opportunity for multi-age within a program like that? I mean, I honestly don't know because I've never taught a language before. You guys are the experts, but I know we do have done multi-age at other schools for other reasons, and
It's
it
the
just.
logistical part. I mean, there are so many things. We could sit and talk about it for a long time. But I'm thinking about the logistical part of it. So you have, let's say, 3 second grade classrooms, a couple third grade classrooms, and like Dr. Bartlett said, you're gonna, out of my class, 6 kids are going to Chinese and the rest are going to Spanish. Out of her class, 9 kids are going to Chinese. And scheduling also depends on, it's arranged so that teachers can have common plan time so they can complete CIT work, et cetera, things like that. And so you can't, scheduling it, I've seen Andrea's schedule, and it is the most color-coded schedule I have ever seen in any school because of the way things have to move around, because she's trying to serve all the needs, not just immersion, all the needs, and make sure that plan periods, because essentially that's what it is. When you're a classroom teacher, when your kids go to art, music, PE, Spanish, that's the time that you plan, that you work with your colleagues, when you meet with your principal, that's when you meet with your coach. Those are the times that are your time to spend on serving kids when they're not in your room. And so I know it's very complex.
I don't.
So I'm not
disagree
saying
with
that
you.
it can't be done. I'm just saying I know that it's
complex.
It's a house of cards.
Completely understand. And again, I just, would ask that you discuss this, you look into it, whether it's a viable option or not. I think given the, we all feel the weight of this decision very, very, very heavily. And I know that we all hold the same values very near and dear to our hearts, but also we also understand the responsibilities, including the responsibility to our community to look at every option here as we drive toward the right decision for our entire community. So thank you in advance for taking this question on and coming back. I look forward to hearing back from you in our next meeting.
Great.
I just want to check my notes from public comment. Go ahead, Amy.
Go ahead, Amy.
as I said, the largest cost to the program is the teacher cost. Roughly, I mean, we can bring the numbers back to you for the next reading, but roughly it's about 80,000 plus, give or take, for a 1.0 FTE teacher. That includes the salary, the fixed costs that we pay, as well as their medical benefits. Additional costs are resources that we provide to the classrooms. They're not extensive costs, but they are costs. And then the additional cost is we have supported visa costs. And we have one current teacher in the visa process right now. So that's the majority of the cost of the program. You take that with, because it's a half-day program, then you would take that against the funding that a student would bring. And as a full student, they bring $5,113. That's the base level support. But half of that is really what they would be, because it's half of Chinese and half of English. So, like I said, I can bring you those numbers next time, but that's the general breakdown of the financial aspect of it.
I think it would be very beneficial to have in the board meeting in 2 weeks, all of the financial implications.
Sure.
Agree.
And I thought I had seen that somewhere, but maybe not.
And I want to say that you have to consider too, it costs, but the enrollment at Sunrise Drive compared to, say, the enrollment at Manzanita that doesn't have an immersion program at all, and how many teachers it takes to run Manzanita versus how many teachers it takes to run either of our immersion programs. We could bring those numbers, you can clearly see the impact on the school of what it costs to run an immersion program. It's not as clean as it seems when you're just looking at, the 25
Funding
kids.
versus the cost.
Yeah, it does have an impact on how you can staff the school overall due to all the classing constraints that we're talking about. So we can definitely show you that, because there is, obviously additional teachers to run such, it's an amazing program. It does have a fiscal cost when it comes to staffing, and I think we can probably clearly delineate that a little clearer for you.
I think that would be great.
Agree. Thank you.
What else would people like to see in the second reading of this proposal?
So far, I think the three things, and correct me if I've missed any, the three major items that we're asking for. One is more information about the committee and why that's not been reconvened, or whether there are plans to reconvene it. Two is more financial data, as just discussed. And three is an exploration as to whether providing Mandarin as a quote-unquote standalone world language class, what that might look like, whether it's logistically viable, and what the financial implications might be there. Have I missed any major asks? We've covered a lot. I want to make sure that Ms. Castro, Dr. Bartlett, Ms. Westover have a clear understanding of our asks for next meeting.
I'd like to know how many students are open enrolled, both in district residents and out of district students.
In the Mandarin
At Sunrise
program.
Drive?
The Mandarin
Into
program.
the Mandarin
Yes.
program.
And why?
I'm just curious to know the draw. Like, are we drawing the number of students, is it a large number that are coming outside of traditional?
Specifically for this.
Is the program
That's
attracting
Yes.
more students at a higher proportion?
Yes.
Okay, fair.
Anything else? Tom, you're our numbers.
Amy, what about you? Any other specific asks for next time? Okay. She's shaking her head no, just in case people can't see her on the screen. Amy, we only have you on 2 screens right now, so just that you're aware that not everybody can see you, so that's why I'm translating a little bit.
All right, obviously, this is a first reading, and we'll see this back in a couple of weeks when we reconvene at the end of October. Again, I want to thank everybody who came to comment about this. We do value your input and know that this is a decision that the community is very interested in, as are we. Amy, were you? I keep looking at Amy that way. I've got to.
No, she was just saying
Okay.
she's good. She's
Okay,
giving a
gotcha.
thumbs up. Sorry, I can see her head on. I know you're catching her in your
I know,
periphery, so
I
I'm.
know.
Yes.
Okay. We will talk about this again in a couple of weeks. Thank you, Cheryl, for your presentation.
Thank you.
And Denise for the information, and Mindy for the information.
And Andrea for your information as well. We really appreciate you.
That's right, Andrea. I didn't see you sitting there behind the podium. All right, we're going to move on to item 5.2, which is our consideration of revisions to policy JLC, student health services and requirements. This is a first reading of this policy. And it is fine. I know it's late, you guys, so we'll just give you a minute to make your exit. For anyone who needs to do that. Yes. 2-minute recess. You need a 2-minute recess? Okay, we'll take a 2-minute recess. Amy, I think you should sign off.
Get some sleep. Thank you, Amy.
for sticking with this.
That's okay.
See you.
Thank you for being there.
Do you need to call a recess or?
No, we don't need to call it. Go ahead and go, guys. We'll reconvene here in a few minutes.
I was going to recommend that we could table the two policies to the next meeting.
If you want to.
It's
We're
up
going to
to
have
you.
another discussion about this again. Let's poll everybody when they come back to the table about what they'd like to do in that respect. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
I just gotta stand up for a second. You ready, Lisa?
We live? We are back. And I am using my temporary presidential power to move things around on the agenda just a little bit. And we're going to go to item 5.4 now so that Lisa Tatel, our Director of Finance, doesn't have to sit here through the policy review. She's had a long day as well. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Lisa Tatel, our Director of Finance, for the approval of the fiscal year 2025 annual financial report, which is an action item this evening.
Good evening. So I'm going to provide a brief summary of the annual financial report. Denise did recommend that I pause after summarizing each reference page to give you all an opportunity to ask questions or provide any feedback. So I think this will help keep the presentation interactive and ensure that any clarifications are addressed. So starting with the cover page, the district's actual maintenance and operations fiscal year 25 expenditures were $39.47 million, which is compared to a budget limit of $42.77 million. This resulted in an M&O carry forward of $3.3 million, which is $1.3 million higher than the $2 million that was budgeted as our carry forward. So I'm going to pause. Do you have any questions regarding the cover page?
So you remember on our straw budget, we had already budgeted for $2 million carry forward, and then there was an additional 1.3, and we explained that last time that it was based, most of it was due to calculating salaries at without the percentage of
classroom site fund
being taken out.
Gotcha.
So
we're basically then saying that the classroom site fund is funding about $1.3 million of our M&O budget. About.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you.
So on page 2, the M&O fund, significant fund changes or expense changes included lower food service costs reflected on line 9, since the required National School Lunch Program matching expense was paid from capital or unrestricted capital instead of M&O. You can pay this expense or this matching requirement from either capital or M&O. Also, psychology service expenses decreased due to hiring in-house staff, which is reflected on line 16. And then this expense is rather small, but the facility maintenance costs specifically for special education, this also decreased from the prior year, which is reflected on line 21. And then also K through 3 reading costs, this went up from the prior year because of lower Title I funding, which is stated on line 31. So I'll pause here. Do you have any questions regarding page 2?
You had mentioned that we can pay this food service matching costs out of M&O or out of district additional assistance. So we just kind of make a decision in any given year where we have the funds and make that decision about where to pay for it? Or, I mean, what drives that decision?
Usually it's if we need some sort of kitchen equipment or technology, then we will, I would say ideally we like to put it over onto capital if we can to save the M&O dollars. But lately we have been buying a lot of new kitchen equipment. So last year we were able to put most of it onto capital.
It almost seems like it's a wash either way, because if we pay for it out of M&O, we have likely more district additional assistance that we can put into M&O that we need for other things, because those funds are kind of interchangeable. But
they can be, but changing them back and forth like we have.
Yes, gotcha.
So we try to preserve our M&O as much as we can. So what we can take out of capital, because we have a larger balance in there, that we try to do that.
And then obviously the Title I grant funds that are lower, these are federal funds.
Correct.
And is this something that we were expecting, fewer federal funds based on our demographics, or was this part of the decrease in federal funds overall?
Part of it is decrease in federal funds, but also this Move On when reading that we get is based on per student. And so our elementary K-3 population is decreasing too, so we get fewer funds from that as well, so from state funding.
And we did lose one school's funding under Title I.
Under Title I. So we only have one school really now that's eligible.
What determines eligibility?
Percentage of free and reduced lunch.
Gotcha.
So page 3 covers the classroom site fund. Total expenditures increased to $5.27 million, up from 4.66 million in the prior year. The increase was primarily due to higher salaries and benefit costs expended from this fund. Classroom site fund is budgeted to full capacity, but expenditures are managed within the available cash. And the year-end balance was $2.39 million, which is similar to last year. I'll pause. Do you have any questions regarding page 3?
None from me.
So on page 4, the top section under unrestricted capital outlay shows that capital override expenditures on line 1 decreased from $3.46 million to $1.44 million. This is mainly because of lower lease, or it's called debt service costs, for the student and teacher Apple computer devices. Also, the district did not replace any major student technology items in 2025. And the purchases under capital operations and maintenance were lower as well, which is reflected on line 5. This line is a lot of maintenance equipment or technology, maybe for the transportation or for just general maintenance in general. So in addition, on line 7, this expense increased for what we were talking about regarding the National School Lunch Program food service matching requirement. So overall, actual capital expenditures on line 10 were about $3.9 million lower than the prior year. Expenses under capital override and construction expenses, and then also the debt service or lease payments, were all lower from fiscal year 2024. So I know that we did receive some questions regarding the expenses and why they were lower. So for the prior year, the Apple lease payment in 2024, we paid a $1.3 million payment. And then the lease was structured in such a way where we made one additional payment this year for about, this is in 2024, so about $375,000. And this was done to decrease the actual lease payments going forward in the next preceding years, so that it didn't utilize all of the capital override balances. So in 2025, the lease payment for the Apple lease payment was about $530,000, and it would have been much higher. So this allows some more carry forward funds, and then also it frees up expenses for other capital override expenses. So, and then also regarding the student devices that are purchased, so these are also purchased from capital override funds. And in 2024, we used capital override for new projectors, Chrome carts, iPads. And from what I understand, these are usually replaced every 3 to 4 years. So I do think that fiscal year 24 was an unusually high year of expenses for capital override. But I think that's being reported on next meeting. So.
You'll get the capital override and bond report next. But we were also trying to spend some of carryover capital override funds in in 24 as well.
In 24.
Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, we carried them over intentionally for the lease payment.
Correct.
Gotcha.
So that's why the increased cost.
So if I'm following correctly, every 3 to 4 years we see a spike because of the need to procure that many new systems for our students, and then it levels off again?
Mm-hmm. And teachers. I mean,
Sure,
yes.
students and
Yes.
teachers, apologies, and staff, etc. And is there a way does Apple offer a way to smooth that out so that we don't have that spike?
I don't know about the actual lease agreement.
Yeah, so from what I understand, I don't think that the lease agreement is going to be as high as it was, because I think that we're considering not purchasing as many laptops from Apple. But again, I don't make these decisions, so that's just what I know.
Yeah, we're considering more Chromebooks instead of Apple for student computers.
Which is not a leased expense.
Right, it's not leased. We purchase those outright. So the lease will become less. It'll just be really for our staff computers.
Thanks.
So, okay. Also on page 4, under the bond building fund section, line 17, the district spent $3.93 million on construction projects. These included the replacement of the Catalina Foothills High School stadium track, the purchase of new student buses, and related staffing costs. There are 2 facility personnel where 50% of their salaries are paid from the bond. So do you have any questions regarding the bond fund?
50% of our facilities people's salaries are paid from bond funds?
Just two personnel.
I don't know that I've ever, or don't remember ever hearing that before.
Project management.
Project management,
Yeah,
okay, that makes sense.
They're doing, and then our director of facilities and transportation.
Got it.
Because a lot of their work is with the bonds.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So on page 10, this report, this is the federal COVID-19 relief funds reporting, which includes ESSER 3. So the report shows that all funds have been fully spent, which we were required to spend them by September 30th, 2024. So I am thinking that this report will no longer be required when completing the 2026 annual financial report. So do you have any questions regarding page 10?
There's just a couple of little numbers still sticking out here with total ending balances. There's the 28.5 and the 1,500. So I was just curious. I guess I expected this to be all zeros.
Yeah, so the 28,000 are the actuals. That was what we spent this year.
Okay, gotcha.
And we did forfeit $1,509 of the, $2.3 million grant. It was a pretty complicated grant, and
I remember.
the revisions. So.
Thank you.
Very complicated.
So on page 13, this report is the fund balance reserve report, and it compares actual fund balances to the district's target reserves. And this report format and methodology remains unchanged from the prior year, finally. Do you have any questions regarding page 13?
So just looking at this, obviously, we're hitting our targets.
And then finally, Finally, pages 17 through 34 contain the school level reporting. These provide a clear view of revenues and expenditures for each of the district's 8 schools. And pages 17 and 18 summarize the district-wide items that are not assigned to the individual schools. And each school name is highlighted for clarity. So the district-wide expenses are the administrative expenses that are not allocated to the other schools.
So you remember, I don't know, how many years ago did we do school-by-school reporting? And we've had to do that for the last probably 5 to 7 years, school by school. Yeah. So if you have a teacher who is traveling between 2 or 3 schools, they have to be coded to each of those sites. And so that goes into their cost for their site.
I know these are very labor intensive for you to produce.
Yes.
My question is, does this give us any information that we need to manage our schools, or is this truly just for reporting requirements, or is this benefiting us at all? Not that we have a choice to do it.
Just no, it gives us information of school by school and expenditures.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I ask a question on that? Sure. Just as an example, if you could go to page 19, I just want to make sure I'm doing a calculation correctly. If I were to want to look at, for each school, basically the cost per student, would I be looking at the total column on the far right, line 13? So for Sunrise Drive, that's $5,696,867, and dividing that by the student count up at the top of 433.99.
So that line 13 under the total, you mean?
Correct.
Yeah.
Is that like the number? Like these are the expenses for this school. So if I wanted that per student, I would be taking that number, line 13, dividing it by the student count at the top of the page.
Yeah, I guess that would be.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm not missing any, like there's not but wait, there's this line. Okay.
So I'm curious, when we do that, just teasing at that thread a little bit,
Uh-huh.
does this view by elementary school, given that we have 4 elementary schools, does it drive any efficiency gains or opportunities for efficiency gains? When we look at how expenses are falling out per elementary school?
What do you mean by efficiency gains?
So, given that we have to do this on a school-by-school basis, and we have 4 elementary schools, same precept for 2 middle schools, as far as that goes, do we see any dramatic differences in the cost?
Yes.
Thank you. My esteemed colleague has already done the math, which I should have assumed you had already done the math. So we see, for example, a difference of, I think, 2K difference.
We can bring that information into our report next year, next meeting, if you're interested in the per pupil costs, a comparison for
just
our discussion.
we can review.
We can review.
Sure. Sure.
I mean, some schools require more support than others, so the expenses could be higher at a different school because of that.
Understood.
Yeah.
I would think the high school, for example, have
Agreed. That's why I'm thinking like the 4 elementary schools, let's look at them vis-a-vis each other. The 2 middle schools, let's look at them vis-a-vis each other.
Yes. I'll put that in.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
So thank you. That concludes the summary of the annual financial report, which please requires your approval.
Okay. Anybody interested in making a motion? I'm happy you're done with your questions.
Because if you're ready for a motion, I'm happy
I'm ready.
Go for it, I'm still finding
I'm still putting my paper back together.
Did you have other questions?
No.
Okay. I move the governing board approve the 2025 annual financial reports as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the 2025 annual financial report. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Lisa, thanks for sticking with us so late this
Thank you.
evening. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Have a good night. And thanks also for your well-prepared presentation. We appreciate that.
All right. Now, first readings on 2 additional policies. Item 5.2, consideration of revisions to policy JLC, student health services and requirements. First reading, Dr. Burke.
Thank you. So in our legislative session, our Senate Bill 1383 amended Title 15, an ARS, and it added a new statute, 15-160.03, which requires districts that provide routine healthcare services to students to provide the healthcare credentials of their employees. So it additionally requires districts to provide emergency response training information upon request to a parent or legal guardian. It does not require a school or district to release personally identifiable information of school employees or healthcare providers. And then, so I added those new stipulations, and then language, the language was added for those 3 new requirements, and then the adoption date was changed to October 28th. So these are very minimal changes, but they're more along the, if parents request this information, we provide it.
It's reasonable.
One clarifying question, if I may.
Yes.
The first point's about providing the credentials. In reading the policy, and the changes to the policy, I just want to make sure I'm understanding it correctly, that's providing the credentials of the staff who provide healthcare to
Correct.
students in the school's health office. Is that correct?
Yes.
So we're talking about, for example, school nurse?
School nurse, our health assistants, yes.
Thank you.
I have a question. Is this only for in the school health office? So if we have students traveling and they're getting medication dispensed to them, for example, can a parent request the health credentials of the person who's dispensing their medication?
Well, it would be one of our health professionals.
Okay, so it would be-
dispensing that medication.
So, field trip,
It's
we would have to have a health
applicable beyond the
professional. If
school
there was a child
campus.
that needed
Yes.
medication dispensed, we'd have to have a health professional go.
We typically do, yes.
We do, okay. What are the credentials of the health assistants in general? Do they have medical credentials?
They don't have credentials, but they have experience.
Experience.
They do have an AA. They typically have an AA degree, but they're not licensed.
Anything else on 5.2 in this first reading?
Not from me.
Pretty straightforward.
I thought so. All right, we'll see it again in a couple weeks and move on to 5.3, which is the consideration of revisions to policy JLCD, medicines, administering medicines to students, also a first reading.
Yes, so again, the Senate Bill 1440 amended many of the statutes, but all of them, they just changed the term epinephrine auto-injectors with epinephrine delivery systems. Because now they're not just auto-injectors, there's different delivery systems. So that's what this policy is changing, and that change was made 8 times in the policy. And then additionally, the AAC, the Arizona Administrative Code, was added before R72-809 twice, and once before 362267, just for clarity that it is the Arizona Administrative Code. And then the legal references that were changed were added to the end of the policy as well. And those, and then the policy adoption date was also changed. So the majority of the policy was really on the delivery systems versus the auto injector.
Straightforward.
Yes.
Do we elect to stock the delivery systems?
Pardon me?
Do we stock the
Yes, we
delivery
do.
systems? Do we stock inhalers, and do we stock the Narcan?
We do not stock inhalers. We do stock
Narcan.
naloxone at our middle schools and the high school.
is that going on trips with students too?
Yes.
Okay, anything else on this particular policy review?
Not for mine.
Okay.
Glad we
We'll
kept those
also
on.
see this in 2 weeks for a second reading. Moving on to item 6, discussion and reports, Arizona legislative / governmental activity. Anybody have anything they want to dish about?
Don't know any hot gossip. Sorry.
I've got no hot topics on the top of my head either.
No,
What was Amy's decision about agenda planning tomorrow?
we need to discuss it here.
Okay.
And if no one can, she's available on Friday. If she's getting home on Thursday, I said, you're probably gonna be.
Be exhausted.
Or we
especially-
could do next week.
We can do- is anyone available for agenda planning tomorrow?
I can be,
You can be?
but I'm scheduled, I don't mind doing it 2 times in a row. That's
Okay.
fine.
I think we're scheduled for 10, are
For
we
10
not?
o'clock.
Okay, so if you can dive in, why don't we take care of this for Amy?
Yeah.
If she's amenable to that.
That'd be great.
Okay, so it'll be Jacqueline and myself tomorrow at 10 o'clock at the district?
That's fine with me.
Person?
Okay, good with me too. Good with me too. All right. After that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn this mega meeting.
I would make a motion to adjourn. Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We adjourn at 4-0. Thank
we
you,
waiting?
everyone.
Is he really?
I'm sorry. What's that?
Our son's waiting at the